Okay, and looks like we are live.
Hallelujah.
What did I just do? Oh, I didn't do the right thing. Okay, good. Oh, that is a creepy looking trailer. Sorry. Channel, and there it is. All right, got the link. All right, guys, just shooting out the links real quick, and then we got it.
Yeah. Robert Hassel III just tweeted something.
Robert Hassel III?
Yes. Like, I guess it's his minor league assignment or something.
Uh-oh. Oh, no,
Yeah.
go back. Copy. All right, notifications. Tainted Glove. I'm going to like the post because that's what we do to our own product.
Mm-hmm.
Quote, tweet, retweet, and boom. All right. Ready to rock?
Let's go.
All right. In 5, 4, 3.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. All engine running. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
It's time for The Tainted Glove, starring your favorite man of questionable character, Aloha Mr. Hand.
Hey, bud, let's party.
And the Holy Reverend KFidds himself. It's go time, so grab a beer, grab a bite, and settle in. It's time for The Tainted Glove.
Aloha, and welcome to the Tainted Glove. Today is Monday, April 4th. It is the 17th anniversary of the beginning of the White Sox 2005 championship run as they beat the Cleveland Indians 1-0 on this day in 2005. I know that because I was at the game. They also won the first game of the second half 1-0, and of course Game 4 of the World Series 1-0. Hopefully the Sox can do this again this year, but we'll find out because we got a lot to talk about, and maybe, just maybe, some more gyrating Walter stories, because that vision of Walter at the beginning of our show has to look impressive on an 85-inch TV. Fidds, take it away.
Well, objects in the 82-inch TV are larger than they actually appear in real size. We learned that from Jurassic Park when the T-Rex was chasing them in the Jeep and they must go faster, but it's probably pretty flattering for Wally to be seen on that large format.
He enjoys talking about his shortcomings.
So yeah, we've got there's a lot of stories we have to tell, but it's great to be back. Last time me and Pete were face to face, or at least looking at each other's faces, we were here in Vegas actually a couple days ago. So
yeah, it was at Evil Dies Tonight Pie Pizza.
Correct. Favorite place. Along with Yumper, who loves the title "Evil Pie Dies Tonight."
Yes,
but yeah, we had a great trip. Had some really awesome people out here, so we're going to talk about a little bit of that. Obviously, opening day is Thursday for Major League Baseball. Finally got some baseball, real baseball, not meaningless games that people are freaking out over today. Perhaps like it happens to be having on Twitter today when the Cubs and the White Sox played, and Nick Madrigal hit a home run, and all hell is broken loose because all of a sudden you can't really joke about Nick Madrigal anymore, apparently. So that's what we're going to, we're going to jump to that. So we're going to preview the season for the Sox and the Cubs, talk a little bit about the Kimbrel trade, especially to get Pollock, which was a really big deal for the White Sox, obviously to simplify the right field issues. And a little bit more of that too. I went to a couple concerts over the last couple days, Thursday and then last night. So I got a couple concert stuff, and we'll talk a little bit about some music and movies as well. So we'll get to that stuff here in a second. But first, we're going to start out with we're gonna be like those guys with their those projectors, the slide projectors, when they're like, and this happened on the trip, and this happened when I was in the Serengeti hunting lion, and so the old, as you used to call them, the old missionary presentation slideshows that would come to your church and
I would really like to do the end of the Hangover picture review of what we did, but most of the pictures would not be appropriate for this forum.
Well, it's coming. It's coming. I had everybody share me their videos or their pictures and their videos, so I will be putting together one. I'm getting ready to go to Cabo Thursday, so for me it's I got a little tight window, but once I get there, I can play around pretty easily. But we're here though. We're ready to go. I mean, baseball season is here. So, but before we get to the baseball season, we've been patient, so we can wait a few minutes longer for us to go ahead and talk about the beauty of a trip that created such quality Oscar-winning hits as this. Go. Go. You get to see it twice.
And the funniest part of that video is poor Jen standing there terrified as these two clowns are ripping their clothes off.
It almost looked like it was. There were two Blair Witch Project that night. One was Jen standing in the corner, like at the end of Blair Witch Project. Spoiler alert! And then Wally peeing in the corner of the Gold Strike backyard, which not necessarily smiled upon by management in Vegas but also standing in the corner alone with his thoughts.
And in fairness, Wally wasn't the only one who had some video recorded of him.
That's true.
Yes,
there was others.
There were others. There is a video of me, wooing the go-go bartender. There we are.
What? No.
So look at those moves.
I mean,
damn,
that guy's got some moves.
Hey, all I'll say is my milkshake brings all the girls to the yard.
And this guy, too.
Yes, and that guy, too.
He's only 32 years old, which is crazy. There's plenty of shenanigans that went on. Yeah, but I guess you want to take us through the story, Pete, of who all came, who was all here. I got to play tour guide a little bit, so I was the guy that I was wearing. I dressed like a tour guide even intentionally. I think at one point, I think Sunday, I dressed as much like a tour guide as I possibly could.
So who did we have there? Let us see. It was myself, Mr. and Mrs. Walter Money, Mr. and Mrs. King and Queen Nam, Brewhand Luke, Yumper and Mrs. Yumper, Jen, Svo and Mrs. Svo. Am I missing anyone? I think I got everybody.
Luke, you had Luke.
I got Luke. Yeah. There I am. Cleopatra's Barge, an homage to Beavis and Butthead.
Correct.
I just love using the word homage and linking it to Beavis and Butthead because Beavis and Butthead would have no fucking clue what that means.
It's funny though. You say that at the concert last night. The intro for Portugal the Man was actually Beavis and Butthead and introduces them. So it was kind of
really
like the best band in the world. It was really fun stuff. I got a kick out of it. I was like, oh my gosh! And my buddy Josh was like, holy smokes, this is like a full on Beavis and Butthead intro. I'm like, yep.
Now, was Josh the person we met at
Yes.
Atomic? Yep. Okay, yes.
Yep. Yeah,
cool dude.
Yep. He's a longtime friend, worked with me at the newspaper even 20 years ago. I've been one of my longest running friends here in Vegas since I moved back here back in 2000. Great dude. And goofball too. So I figured you two next to each other was probably a good conversation piece.
Oh, yeah.
I figured you guys would have some stories because he's a Mr. Spring Training guy with the Dodgers every year and big time like baseball nut and sports nut. So
yeah, he was MFing me about having Raiders tickets.
Yes, because he's a Broncos fan. Even funnier too is he didn't mention his sous vide machine to you though. He likes to mention the sous vide a lot, so he did not mention the sous vide. But
no.
He got me a sous vide for my birthday one year. I was like, oh, I won't use this. Appreciate it. No, I'm kidding. But
why don't you tell him to get you a bidet?
He gave me his birthday. Last night. He gave me he gave me my birthday present for this year because my birthday's Thursday. He got me a Boba Fett Lego set from the Boba Fett show, the throne room with Bib Fortuna. That
nice.
I'm like, I don't know at any point in my friendship that I've ever told him that I like Legos, but he thought it would be.
Have you told him you like Star Wars?
He knows we like Star Wars, so I
There
mean,
you go.
even though I'm not a Legos person, I have to put that thing together now. I mean, that would be a terrible friend if I was not going to try and put that thing together. So if you hear about some guy losing his shit in Las Vegas and running outside fully nude, screaming about Legos, that's going to be me because I have zero patience with that kind of stuff. I can't do model airplanes either.
So you're going to do an Alonzo Spellman? Is that what you're telling us?
Yeah, I'll be Spellman. I'll be out there in my bathrobe on the freeway. The freezing cold.
And by the way, to our good friend Mailman Jack, I have to say this to your question. No, that was not John Travolta. That was the guy who taught John Travolta how to fucking dance.
Dang. It could always be this. And look at Joe's wife, like, God dang it, I married that guy. Look at that. I mean, just bumping and grinding.
Yeah, I just love the the reaction at the end with the hand to the face. Like, what have I gotten myself into?
We're bumping and grinding like R. Kelly when the lights go on. It's amazing. Well, maybe we try to do the R. Kelly part of it, but but yeah, I mean, there was some damn. I mean, with King Nam got a lap dance too. I mean, we didn't go to a strip club by any means, but he did get a lap dance. So he could actually say Nam can say that he came to Vegas and got a lap dance, and all he got was a Tainted Glove T-shirt.
Yeah, exactly.
That's Tainted Glove after dark.
Yeah.
And you could totally see Swo's sister like, oh my God, I'm with these people.
Yes. Yes. Who is my brother hanging out with? What the hell is he thinking? I could definitely see that in her face.
Yeah. Well, it was a fantastic having you guys here, but like for you, I mean, you guys, you came in Saturday night.
Yes.
And you went to your favorite spot immediately. So, I mean, let's take it through the trip. Obviously, the whole group, that mod squad was just such a fantastic group. So,
yeah. So I got in Saturday, roughly around 6:00 Saturday night, and checked into the hotel. Was trying to meet up with you, but you were at some 1920s party or costume party or something like that at Resort World. Which, if I would have known what was there Saturday night, I would have went there and met you in that cigar bar there.
Oh yeah, they have a good cigar bar there.
Yes, but I wound up at Casa de Fuente and was exchanging messages with Shane Reardon and Chris Tannehill from The Score because they were also in town, but they were leaving Sunday, so we are trying to connect to go have a drink. I was going to buy Shane a drink for his birthday because it was his birthday that day. Unfortunately, we can never meet up. So sorry, Shane, no drink for you. But so I wound up in there, and I closed that place down. Went and gambled a little bit after that. Didn't do well at all. And decided, you know what? 1:30 in the morning, I'm going to bed. Maybe 1:00. I'm going to bed. So went to bed. Got a good night's sleep. It was actually nice. No distractions or anything. Just no alarm clock, nothing. Got a great night's sleep. Woke up. Went down and hit the tables. And lost some more. And then everyone else started rolling in and, connecting with everyone, figuring out what the plans were, all of that.
We single-handedly saved Nam's bet on the basketball game.
Oh yes,
because he was losing in the first half, and we also met up at Bally's, and but it was the curse of where Ivan Drago killed Apollo Creed in the ring.
That's right.
So we had to get out of there and went over to Caesars across the street, and then he was on 6 at half, and they won by 26,
something like that. And I will say it also helped me because I had taken Kansas, and who was the other game that day? It was Duke. It was Duke and St. Peter's or whatever it was.
Okay.
Yeah. So I had bet individually Kansas and Duke, and then parlayed the two of them together. So I really wanted Kansas to win too because I was in the same boat. fortunately, that all came in, which helped recoup some of my losses from up to that point because I was losing badly up to that point. Then we went out and hit. Was it Sunday night or Monday night? We went out to dinner.
You guys went to what? Because Sunday we went to Atomic first.
Yes, that's right. We went to Atomic first, and then we met up with Zvo's sister at Hennessy's.
Correct. And then Corduroy.
Yeah, Corduroy.
And then video is from. Cool place though. If you ever come to Vegas, it's a small little spot in East Fremont. But these guys were all kind of, they're obviously virgins in there. They'd never been there. And I immediately, of course, go looking for the secret room and back because there's a secret room and back that's blacklight with like wizards and like glow in the dark frogs and, you know, a Galaga sit down video game machine. And that obviously a little Instagrammable room too with the lights. Like it looks like you're in a P. Diddy video. So I was asking, you guys were walking, getting cocktails. I'm like, I'm going to the back. I'm going to find the cool stuff.
Well, and the music was outstanding that they were playing in Corduroy. The DJ was just outstanding. So, you know, some of the shenanigans, some of the videos you saw were from Corduroy. Then we moved on to
Gold Spike,
and
its backyard. They have like a backyard, like set up with like cornhole and like outdoor. Like,
and we did kind of the Goodfellas dinner scene, like walking through the secret path to get to Gold Spike instead of walking around the block and everything else. And I remember there was some confusion about where Gold Spike was located.
Yes. I got turned around thinking that it was over by the El Cortez too. I'm like, we're going the wrong way. Wait, no, we're not. Shit. That's not even on Fremont.
Yes. So I tapped out at Gold Spike. I was like, I'm Irish goodbye-ing later. I told the noms and I was gone.
Like, where did you go? I'm over here stuck with cornhole with Queen Nom and Jen, Yumper's wife, and
yeah, poor Jen. She's so nice, and she's exposed to us deviants. That poor woman.
Yeah, I mean, that really is. Now we do have footage of the athleticism of one Walter. By the way, that one did not land on the board. No. It's a giant cornhole board, and he still couldn't hit the board. Like it's not even regulation. Look at the size of that thing. That thing is like literally like a dock at a waterfront, and he was we got beat.
Yes.
Jenna and Queen Nom kicked our butts pretty good. So
yes,
actually Queen Nom rang out like 3. She killed us with like a kill shot. It was hole done. Bye.
Don't mess with those quiet women, man. They'll fuck you up.
Ooh-wee. Yep.
Yeah. Never play bags with a woman who has a tattoo. It just won't lead to good things. And then, that just shows all the talents that Queen Nom has.
That's true. I mean, more talent is, of course, because there's just so much of it. I have to share it as much as possible. There's just so much of it that this is what happens in between people. With the Tainted Glove shirt on.
Yes.
Branding. I want him to fall so bad.
Poor Jen. She's just subjected to Wally the whole night.
I mean, look at that shot right there. I mean, when God made the mold, he broke it with Walter.
Yes.
But yeah, no, we had such a blast. Yeah, I mean,
Wally, I'm waiting for Wally to send a message. Shit, what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas.
Not when I have my phone. But no, and then that was we went for that night. So you guys actually dipped out. That was you Irish goodbye.
Yes.
Right? Mailman Jack in the comments is correct. I think we just got our entire audience that was watching visually pregnant.
Probably, yeah.
You might want to go get a test. Doesn't matter if you have a womb or not. Get tested.
Because I know the women's bras were flying off when they saw my dancing.
Yeah. You could actually hear they almost like it was the Pied Piper, really.
Yes.
Of luring them in. But yeah, and then you left. We actually stayed a little longer that night.
Yes.
Went back to the hotel, went back to Bally's, did some gambling. I last time I didn't shadow Wally, and Wally won like $8,000. It's probably me. I guess I'm the bad luck because I shadowed him this time and I lost $200. So
Yeah.
But I did get a little bit of a back next to Buffalo. Buffalo always redeems. If
God, that that damn Buffalo is embedded in my fucking brain now.
it's a sound. I got it. I went. we were at the concert and I'm at Hard Rock or whatever it's called now, Virgin. I'm like, Buffalo. Again, $120 did dip out, but yeah. Back, and then that was that night. Yep. And then I did not meet you guys on Monday, so you guys had a Monday day where you guys kind of did some people went to the Grand Canyon, some people went.
I want to say it was Mr. and Mrs. Walter, Zvo and his wife, and Luke who went to the Grand Canyon. They left about 8:00 in the morning, and I just hung around, smoked some more cigars, lost some more money. And that was basically my day. So Monday night we wind up going. Yeah, there you go. Monday night we wound up going out to Ruth Chris in Harrah's, and a fabulous steak dinner. But
I see Grand Canyon, Hoover Dam. I'm an idiot.
Yeah, Hoover Dam. That's right. You're right. I said Grand Canyon too, but Hoover Dam. Monday night we wound up at Ruth Chris. A fantastic meal. It was shocking how much big meat costs went up. You know, that evil big meat, and how much the costs went up. A tomahawk steak there, $180. It was like looking at like, holy crap! What the fuck? You know, I got a fillet and it was like $80. I'm like, what the hell? Usually it's like $50.
It depends too. Yeah, I mean that's I sounds bad. I haven't noticed because every time we go, it's at Carrie's clients, so it's always trade comp. But
you can't. Yeah, fuck you.
You guys got a chance though to eat. You know, there. I would say this: next time you guys are in town, I know that's kind of like your go-to place, but there's some steakhouses here that are literally specific to Vegas only.
Oh, I want to go to Golden Steer.
Golden Steer, I was gonna say, is one of them. Delmonico is a really good one.
Well, Delmonico's has started branching out.
Delmonico is what is it's a Emerald Lagasse property,
because I think you had a Delmonico in Florida.
Well, the chef here is specific only to Vegas. Donnie.
Oh, okay.
Fantastic. Ronnie, excuse me, is a fantastic chef. He's specific here, but Golden Steer is the one that you want to go to if you want to go to the old Vegas one, because that actually is where Sinatra and Sammy Davis Jr. and the rest of the Rat Pack would go after performances here in Vegas, all the way back into the 50s, and it's got there's a little hidden door in the back actually, if you can find it. But the prices there, they're still pretty decently expensive. They got a spinning salad, which is really popular. And
salad. They have a
salad. It's a show. It's a show, and then they have a bananas Foster that's off the charts to go along with their steak. But yeah, it's a cool little place. It's very old school vibe. And that's a place, if you're in Vegas, that's a next time. I think you guys should definitely try that. And I think next time you guys are here, you should definitely do a Batista's Hole in the Wall night.
Oh, I wanted to go to Batista's. My parents, when I go down there with my parents a couple times, when I went with my parents a couple times, we always wound up at Batista's. They love the place. Mm-hmm. Not so much for the food, but for the environment.
Absolutely. It's a bottomless house wine. So like if you're a red wine drinker, there's no chance that you don't leave with a red face and red teeth. By the time. And the best part, they're trying to pawn off this is our cappuccino. It's hot chocolate. It's hot chocolate. Best hot chocolate ever, because you've been drinking wine with your friends and celebrating. Silly, because you usually sit in your table for like an hour and a half. Like it's not a short, it's a longer dining experience just because it's fun. Because it's a course meal. The wall is the menu. The wall has the menu, so you choose off. Right. And then it's all different. Like they bring a little salad out that you would probably kick to the ground and spit on, and then
I would not do that. I would be respectful. I'd throw it at people and say, "Here, eat this, you fucking rabbits."
So that's another good spot. But you guys got to do the dinner there, and then Tuesday, I want to say Tuesday. Oh, that's when I met. That was the last time I got to see you guys, because everybody was leaving on Wednesday. So and we got to hang out a little bit before you left. You guys did something else before that, but I took Carrie, fiance and I got to take Yumper and his wife out to
Yes.
over at Laurie's for some prime rib and some whatnot. And then we met you guys up back on Fremont. So then we had the fun.
That was the night of me dancing
Yes,
with my milkshake.
that was
And,
this night.
and then Evil Pie Dies Tonight was later in the night.
That's right here. Nice little
Yes.
group photo right there. Everybody
Yep.
was good. I had a school the next day, so I couldn't go ham. And so I stayed down pretty late, but there's that. And then we had, there's other things that are happening on the strip. Like, for example, this was happening.
Oh, God. That's right. I wanted that sign she had so bad.
This lady was just ready to kill somebody.
Yes.
They had a little bit of that Fremont fun. She's ready to kill.
Yes.
Someone spilled she was there. Her sign said, "We'll dance for tequila," or
We'll dance for booze and cigarettes, or vodka and cigarettes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I wanted to grab that sign and just hold it and take a picture. But I was afraid she might kill me if I did.
Yeah. And then we made our way down to Evil Pie. So we finally got some Evil Pie.
Yes.
So this happened right here. It's a nice little picture of Wally and Yump and Bruhan Luke. There's the man Evil Knievel. And this is just a joint. If you've never been to Evil Pie, it's a cool little joint.
Yes. Very good pizza. Very good pizza.
Yeah.
Now, do you have the bicycle on the wall?
I don't. I think I might have gone through it with this. I think I just did a little pan of their mountain. That's our state, whatever animal.
Because I think no, that ain't it.
There it is, right
it's
there.
on. Oh yeah, yeah.
It's right. You can kind of see it in the top right corner, right there.
Yeah, I wanted that bike when I was a kid. I wanted that bike so bad. But alas, Santa never brought it.
Yeah, their pizza's good. I got the meatball one. They have a meatball. They basically slice meatballs and put it on with some ricotta on regular pizza. It's so good. Yeah,
I forgot which one I got. I think I got like the barbecue pepperoni one.
Mm-hmm. Well, they got so many. Like, it's again, their selection there. It's if you're on Fremont, there's no better pizza to get. The actual chef that created that menu is him and the owner Brandon of Evil Pie, they had a kind of not a falling out, but just going separate ways. So Vince went and opened his own pizza joint called Good Pie. Well, then he also has. If you're ever on Main Street in Vegas, which is more the arts district, a lot of breweries all in the same general area. His place, Good Pie, is a must stop. In my opinion, Good Pie is the best pizza in Las Vegas. It's very close to like what they have at Evil Pie, but I think it's just better. He does more Detroit pies now. He has a gluten-free pizza. It's a world championship gluten-free pizza. And it's really good pizza. So like it's actually funny. Vegas does have its own pizza. We have Metro Pizza, we have Pizza Rock, we have Good Pie, we have Evil Pie. There are some actual pizza places here that are actually we're getting a Vegas style now, which is crazy. And everybody loves Evil Pie, and they're obviously really creative with their marketing too. Brandon's interesting guy. He's the guy that gets on Yelp as the owner, and if you give it a bad review, he legitimately will mock you, like like say your head's ugly or something like that. He just goes right at you. It's pretty funny.
I'll be honest with you. I just love the box that it came in.
Yeah, this is what it looks like. It's a nice box. It's a well designed box that says Evil Pie dies tonight, Las Vegas. That's for Yumper. That's Yumper's favorite pizza box in the entire.
Yes, it is.
So I took that home and had that for lunch the next day. Actually, I didn't eat my pepperoni slice. I carried the pepperoni slice with me down Fremont to get to my car. I'm like, yeah, it's gonna be tomorrow.
Did you park by Atomic?
I parked that night. I parked at Circa.
Okay.
So I did the opposite. I actually paid for parking, which I rarely do down there. Yeah. I like to park at Atomic Liquors. I go into Atomic and I'll grab a drink so I can say that I was a patron, just to give them patronage, and then I can leave my car there pretty much all night.
Right.
How many times I've taken a lift back to that car on a Saturday or a Sunday morning because of that's my safe place. Atomic is always a really safe place to finish your night too. It's Vegas' oldest bar. It's got a cool, welcoming vibe, and you could pretty much hide in the back in the dark and no one will mess with you. So,
yes, I love the place. The Hunter's Mash is an outstanding drink. If you go there, definitely try one. Go check out the time capsule embedded in the floor in the back of the bar. And also you can see Atomic. I went again this over the weekend to look where we sat that Sunday. That used to be a gas station, wasn't it?
Yes. Yeah. The place,
That,
the outdoor seating used to be like the front part of a gas station, which is where they actually filmed the scene from. So in the regular bar is where they filmed the scene in Casino, where Joe Pesci stabs the guy over his pen. That was filmed in Atomic.
Didn't they?
You meet first time.
Right. Didn't they also film the scene where De Niro explains the Black Book to him? Like once Pesci goes into Black Book, I think that was in Atomic too.
It could
Remember,
be.
he's like, Al Capone's in this book, for God's sakes, and he's been dead for 30 years.
Might be. And I know that the gas station, formerly gas station, now it's called Atomic Kitchen. That's also from the scene where they put the guy's head in the vice and pop his eye out.
And also where, what's his name, showed up to talk to the bosses when he got asked the infamous question, is the little guy fucking the Jew's wife?
Well, it's funny when you watch Casino, because it doubles as Back Home.
Home, yes.
Which
Back Home in the Midwest, isn't it?
Back Home in the Midwest. And if you know the story, that it's actually Kansas City is where they would go to meet, because that's as far west as they could get. And so, but it doubles. So if you look at the video, it's fake snow. If you look at the footage, it's fake snow. And it actually is the background is not real. They matted out the background. So it's only, but you see Atomic right there in its glory, but the background is not obviously the
Midwest,
downtown Las Vegas area. Yeah, it looks like it looks like the skyline of like KC or Chicago. So it's
right.
It's funny to see because obviously, but it's a great place in Vegas if you ever get a chance. And the guy the guy that owns it, Lance, is a really great guy, and so he bought that place. And if you don't know the story of East Fremont, that was not a place 20 years ago that you wanted to be caught when the sun goes down. It was a terrifying place where with drugs and violence and was the place that you go when you messed up one too many times in Las Vegas. And Tony Hsieh, he passed away last year. Rest in peace. The owner of Zappos, he basically came and just revamped the entire area. He made it the central location hub for Zappos, and he brought in housing, and he started helping create, help finance and invest in businesses down there. The Container Park project, which is really cool. They're gigantic containers like Connexes, and a business will file it, and they'll get like 6 months in your park. So they're basically operating their business out of a container. There's like dozens of containers in this whole one big enclosure or whatever. And if it works, they can go out and build they find investors to build a brick and mortar place. So it's really cool. They've really cleaned it up. Atomic is used to be the tail end of it, but now it's expanded even further down. And I know that Mailman Jack would appreciate this. There's a fantastic record store right there, right next to it.
Right on the other side of the street. And I wanted to go there on Tuesday, but I never made it there.
Yeah, and there's Ferguson's, which has a really good pop-up. They're doing a pop-up burger place right now, but there's little businesses in there too. So it's a place that it used to be an old cheap hotel you would get hourly rates at back in the day, like the old hourly rate Vegas places, which those places are not. Those are most places of ill repute, if you will. So It's really neat, and they've really done a great job down there. And I love that because I love people come here. I tell my dad that I go to eat dinner on East Fremont all the time because there's other places down there like Carson Kitchen, 7th and Carson. They have a donut shop there that's really good. Really good restaurants down there. And I'm like, Dad, I'm eating on East Fremont. And my dad's like, you do what? Because last time my dad was down on East Fremont, it was we were helping over. I think we were doing a food kitchen or something to help out the underprivileged back in the late 90s. When they lived here. So it's such a cool place to go now because it is so nice. And I don't want to say it's gentrified, but it's kind of gentrified. But I don't mean
you mean it's a corporate sellout now?
So corporate. It's so corporate. So corporate now. # corporate sellout. But the area is so neat. So if you are in Vegas, man, don't just stop at Fremont. Keep going east. You don't want to go east past Ferguson's, but that's a good little spot there where you've got little places. There's a mezcal bar now.
There's a concert hall there too.
There used to be a place there called a beauty bar that closed because they had some sort of financial issues or whatever. But that used to be a great concert venue. In the back alley, they have a whole concert stage set up. So it was a smaller but a good intimate venue. But it's a good little spot. And so I'm glad you guys. And you and I've walked that a couple times now. But it's always Atomic's always at the far eastern end of Fremont, so it always gives me a half mile, quarter mile walk to my car. So I can make a decision which if it's even a decision, it's time to call a lift. If it's not, I stop, when it's time for a lift, I go into Atomic and I just get another hunter smash and just wait for my lift to arrive.
Yep.
My garage door opener out of the car and just get all my belongings and make sure I have everything and then leave it there overnight. And they're cool with it. I've been going there. I was going there before. My girlfriend never had them as a client too. So it's one of those places where it's very comfortable. I actually have the coolest picture I ever took, which is dueling cracks at that place. There were two dudes split, probably like 3 chairs in between them. Both had plumber cracks at the same time. And I took a picture of it.
Well, I don't think it could top Gremlin Woman.
Oh yeah, Gremlin Woman was there too. There's some real good photo ops there. That's like, now that I think I think I took a picture with some Brat Pack impersonators a couple of years ago too when they were doing
and when we were there Sunday, there was a bachelor party there, and the poor bachelor had to dress up as the bride.
Oh yeah, that's right.
They made him dress up as the bride. Poor guy.
And if you're an Anthony Bourdain fan, Atomic was a place where Bourdain used to go. There's a chair there with a big star on it. I think I might have told you guys that story, but there's one chair in the entire bar that has a giant white star on it, kind of like a Dallas Cowboys star a little bit. Mm-hmm. That's Barbara Streisand's chair.
Yes.
She used to come to Atomic all the time, and that was her chair. So they just put a star on it, and that's now Barbara Streisand's chair. So if you ever go to Atomic and you see the chair, which is just, if you're coming in from the back, it's right there on the left on the corner where the bar curls. If you're coming from the front entrance, it's actually at the end of the bar before the bar turns right. There's also a time capsule on the floor and an homage to Anthony Bourdain. So if you're an Anthony Bourdain fan, that was also one of his places that he would always end up on a regular basis as well. Or yes, Betty Midler as Yupper's wife, Jen. I think she called Glenn Close at one point too. Maybe
possible.
Right, but just having you guys out. So yeah, and then you were out. You didn't leave till Wednesday evening, right?
I left at Wednesday. My flight took off at 3:30 Wednesday afternoon. So I actually hit the oxygen bar before I went to the airport because why the hell not? But fortunately, I won some of my money back because I hit a 4 of a kind on Tuesday morning, and then another 4 of a kind late Tuesday night just before I went to bed. So I hit those, ran with my little ticket, got the cash, and went back upstairs. I'm like, I'm banking this, baby. I'm not giving it back.
The ability to step away after the win, the hardest part. It was like, well, a couple more spins here. More spins. Okay, maybe I spun too much. Next thing you know, you're like, Rrr.
Yep. But came home with some cigars from Casa Fuente. Can't complain. Had the opportunity to smoke one over the weekend. Probably have another one tomorrow. Maybe one Friday celebrating a White Sox victory as they open the season on Friday. Even though the Cubs open Thursday. Baseball starts Thursday, and the Cubs open at home against the Brewers.
Correct.
And they got a tough task ahead of them Thursday against the Brewers.
Yep.
But of course, no other game matters. Yankees, Red Sox are playing. No other game matters.
I'll be on an airplane. I think
that's right. You're going to Cabo.
I'm not sure. Last time I was coming home from Cabo when it was opening day, and there was no reception over the water. I got paid for internet that I couldn't use. Thanks a lot, Southwest. And then so this one now we're going there, so it'll be opening day. We arrived there at 11 Cabo time, so I'm not sure. I don't think the Cubs. I think that'll be around the time the Cubs are starting. So I will have, and again, my phone plan works there, so I'll be able to watch it on at least my phone in some way, shape, or form. But yeah, that's actually my birthday is Thursday too. So we're actually going to go. We're going to go to the house. Carrie's clients donated these. It's Blue Desert Cabo is the name of the real estate company. They basically rent out these large houses for parties and for people to stay there. They're like cartel homes. They're insane. And we're going to go to San Jose. Which is a little bit outside of Cabo San Lucas. It's a really cool town. On Thursday nights, they do like an art walk. So we're going to go get dinner for birthday dinner, and then we're going to go to a mezcal tasting. So I'm finally excited to real mezcal tasting. I'm not sure if they're going to have worms in them, but I'll drink the worm if I have to. I didn't learn that till my last trip. That's what used to in Poltergeist 2 when he's drinking, and the worm was in there. That was a mezcal. I didn't realize that mezcal was the one with the worms. But
yep. So, and one more thing I'll say about the trip. The poor guy who was sitting next to me on the plane on the way there must have thought I was an absolute lunatic because I loaded some movies on my iPad to watch during the flight. the first movie I watched was Yellow Submarine, the Beatles cartoon from the 60s. So he's probably looking like, what the hell is this weird crap this guy's watching? Then I loaded, after that finished, because it's only an hour and a half long, I watched another hour and a half concert of Bruce Springsteen and the E Street Band, the live No Nukes concert from 1979. So this guy's like, what the hell? Does this guy, has he even reached the 80s yet? He's still stuck in the 70s. But on the way home, I watched One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest.
Always a good one.
Just because nothing tops Jack in his... I know a lot of people say Chinatown or The Shining. Nothing compares. His best work, without question, is One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. And it's not even close. If you don't believe me, watch the movie.
You mean his performance in anger management wasn't Oscar-worthy?
Yes. And doing the thing with the hair, the electronics. Yes, but no. So that was like the entertainment value I had. And again, I will say this: One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest is a great book, but it is an even better movie because they end the movie right where it should end. The book moves forward from that point, and it loses a little bit in the book, but the movie ends perfectly.
And Ken Kesey wrote that, by the way.
Yes.
I think a custodian at a mental institution.
Yes.
In Oregon, actually.
Yep.
The hospital that inspired it, you can still go there. Actually, I know I'm a big nerd, and we drove through.
Well, some of the actual patients are in the background. Yeah. They hired some of the patients for some of the just non-speaking, like, extras roles.
Right.
You know, where you see the lunatics just walking around. And the funny thing is, I for years thought Ken Kesey was in the movie, but I was wrong. Because the guy who, there was one of the actors, his name was Ken Kenny, not Ken Kesey. And I always thought it was Ken Kesey.
That's where Casey started getting into the acid stuff too, is because he was part of that MK Ultra stuff.
Right.
Where they were giving him psychedelics to see the mind control stuff, and kind of all just rolled into one.
And from what I've heard, he hated the movie. He hated it.
Sounds about right.
Yeah. You know, because he thought that the focus should have been on Chief, not R.P. McMurphy.
Right. I think it should have just been focused on Danny DeVito, but whatever.
Oh, God. Oh, my God. I think that's his first role, too. And Christopher Lloyd.
Yeah. That's like
half the first roles.
Half the cast from Tech.
And another guy, Vincent Chiavelli, who...
God, stop. Scary subway guy. Scary subway guy.
And also one of the teachers from Fast Times at Ridgemont High.
Yeah. I have an ultimate... He's actually like my big... Besides the Burger King guy and clowns and midgets, it's him. Me and my buddy Mark left in high school. Get off my train! He was terrible. Whenever he would come on any movie, we would like duck and dive. So like we always would joke. It was like kind of obviously one of those like fake scary things. You're not like actually terrible. It was always, oh my God, it's him. Now when he died, we figured like perhaps there was another evil born into the world because two evils can't occupy the same reality. And
that's true. Yes.
Something. So he was Satan's problem at that point. No, but
so I got home, and then Friday comes around, April 1st. And I get a text around noonish, maybe a little bit. No, it was around noonish, saying that the White Sox have traded Craig Kimbrell for A.J. Pollock. The natural first reaction is, okay, this is a joke. Ha ha, very funny. But then you start seeing the media Bigfoots, the Rosenthals, the Jeff Passons, Nightingale, you don't, whatever. You see these guys you're like, oh, maybe there's something here. And sure enough, that was the trade that was made. Now, I bring this up specifically because if you remember a couple weeks ago, we tweeted that there were talks about trading Craig Kimbrell and to look west. Now, I can give you some of the details of that, and for those who may say, yeah, you're just making it up, no. And I'll tell you why. Because I made it a point to tell Mr. Fiddler and a couple other people, this is the team and this is the name being discussed. Would you agree with that?
Mm-hmm.
So the team was right. It was the Dodgers. There was a different name being discussed. Now, I'm not going to give you the name, but I will give you a very strong hint. He is currently restructuring his batting stance. If you go out and read anything about the Dodgers, you'll know who it is by that statement. That was the initial name we got. He's had, last time I checked, he had about 10 strikeouts in spring training. And having a horrible spring.
Mm-hmm. Not good.
Not good at all. But that is the genesis of what it was. You'll remember one of the things I said in there was that there were moving parts. And one of the moving parts was they pretty much knew that Kenley Jansen wasn't coming back at that point. But they were going to try and make one last push to get Jansen back. That's part of the reason why it took so long. And from what I've read, they spent Thursday night haggling about the money. The White Sox haggling about money. Go figure. But Kimbrel's gone. Then the Sox, in true Sox fashion, this is the team that cannot. They take one step forward, then they immediately find a way to take 2 steps back. And you'll see in the comments, Jacob Swartley talks about, I told him too. Yes, I did. I told him all the details because let's just say somebody reached out to the Tainted Glove asking for information on this and went on to another podcast and spouting about it.
Weird.
I know. Go figure.
Without citing sources either, which is
yes, without citing sources either.
Mm-hmm.
So,
sorry.
Yeah.
Love in the chat right now. No government names except the person that's signed in under their government name.
Yes. Yes. But yes, and I did tell one of the government names, I said, this is what he's going to say, and these are going to be the teams he cites. And I sat there and I listened to it, and sure enough, there it was. And I immediately got a text back saying, you called it.
But you had us on watch. You're like, okay, so here we go. Ready for it, wait for it.
Yep.
So funny. But, and that's, that was, for the White Sox, the trade itself is obviously a big deal because it's been a concern for the White Sox going into the season. And I think up to this point, probably more amplified than any, reservations about, Tony La Russa's being the manager or, Lucas Giolito's progress or,
don't even get me started on the Giolito thing.
Or Dallas Keuchel's, it was all about right field. And now,
yes.
That trade. I want to say it was Chris Kamka put up a chart yesterday that had like comparable numbers from Pollock and then Mookie Betts over the last 162 games. Now they didn't play them at the same time or whatever, but I know he was banged up and stuff last year. But when you put the 162 together, they're pretty comparable in that sense. Obviously, the higher OPS from Mookie Betts, but Pollock's a solid right fielder. A couple of years of team control, and he's not super expensive. It was a
10 per.
Yeah, which is great for a serviceably strong, a guy that's going to hit 20 some odd homers maybe for you. Maybe hit 280, get on base like at a 320, 350 clip. Have an OPS somewhere around like 860, 871, 875, somewhere in there. That's a quality move. And I know Kimbrel was obviously the thorn in a lot of White Sox fans' side. It's so strange how they get so fixated on certain things, but big time fixation on Kimbrel and his struggles in that 8th inning role. And it got a little. I'm sure Rick Collins probably tired of dealing with it too. We don't know what goes on the inside, but getting Kimbrel to the Dodgers, packaging him up, sending him there. He was almost a Dodger before. Last year before the Turner Scherzer trade, there was a KB and Kimbrel trade to the Dodgers for prospects, and I think Pollock too, because I think that last year the Dodgers had somewhat soured on Pollock early in the season. I know he finished. I think he didn't finish strong. If I'm not mistaken.
Did finish strong, yes.
But you have, so it was the Dodgers already had that. The Dodgers and the Phillies had a total boner for him, and the White Sox were able to trade that out and get a serviceable guy. They and didn't the Dodgers take care of a ton of this? Like basically, they're taking the salary, right? I mean, they're
all of Kimbrel's salary, yes, all $16 million, which is
like $6 million or $4 million or something like that for the Sox.
Is really funny because do you know how much Jansen signed for in Atlanta on a 1-year deal?
10, 12,
16.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, he signed for $16 million. So it was like the Dodgers. They have to know something about Jansen, and I know he was being bounced around he was pulled out of the closer role for a while. And, he was having some issues. So I'm just wondering about that. But Kimbrel's gone. And let me say this right now. I had no issues, none, zero, zip with the trade. And before we even went live, we were talking about Madrigal because Madrigal hit a homer today. So all of White Sox Twitter is up in agony about how could you have traded that guy and this and that. First off, I had no problem with the trade for two specific reasons. One, it was the first time I could truly say that the White Sox manned up and were going for it. First time in my lifetime I've ever seen that. Because even in 2005, while getting Jeff Blum turned out to be a great move, it wasn't like oh my God, you went and got so-and-so?
Right.
It wasn't that move. Kimbrel was that move. And some people may say, well, they got Griffey in 2008. Griffey was a shell of the player he once was in 2008. Just like Manny Ramirez was a shell of the player he was when they got him in 2010. So you can't, just because the name was once great doesn't mean that they're going to be a great player for you. Kimbrel was having a fantastic season with the Cubs. Fantastic. And he just absolutely flopped with the White Sox. Now, maybe it had to do with the change in role from being the closer to being the eighth inning guy. Possible, but, it didn't work. That's all there is to it. When you make trades like this, they don't always work.
Right.
Unfortunately, the Sox have been on a lot of the ends of the trades not working.
It would seem logical that it would work because of how good he was. But we talked about this with Herb Lawrence on the Pinwheels and Ivy last Wednesday, that these closers are creatures of habits. He's not done anything but close out the ninth his entire career. And if someone that minimizes the routine that these guys have, again, think fighter pilots. I have to use this analogy over and over again. Fighter pilots. Fighter pilot mentality means that there's an overabundance of super confidence where that you're safe. You'll never get. No one's going to get you. You're untouchable. And it's kind of like you think Tom Cruise when Goose dies. Spoiler for those of you that
or the beginning with Merlin.
Merlin too. When you lose that edge, the edge is gone. You can get the edge back sometimes, but when the edge is gone, you're out there second guessing yourself. You're maybe letting go a little bit. You're not doing what you normally did. And I think that the change in roles and the change in teams and the change in even franchise routine. It took him a while for him to figure it out with the Cubs. I mean, he wasn't good early on with the Cubs. It took him like a couple months, and with the White Sox in the middle of a pennant race, that's not that time to get right. So for him, they tried, it didn't work, but in the end, they really traded Nick Madrigal and Cody Hewer. Nick Madrigal, who has, we'll see how he does with the Cubs, and Cody Hewer, who had Tommy John surgery and is out for the year for Pollock. So really, you traded Kimbrel, or you didn't trade Kimbrel, you traded Madrigal and Hewer
for Pollock,
and you got rid of the salary stuff. So it wasn't the worst trade. I mean, I saw some people comparing it to like the worst trade in like Sox history. I'm like, not even close. Like it's not even in the same realm because it might not have been a successful trade, but holy smokes, it's like calling a first round pick that's only an average starter in Major League a wasted first round pick. First round picks if you get a first round pick that is a everyday starter in the major leagues, that's a good first pick. That's your first round pick. We're not going to be superstars. Like you expect too much, and then you judge hyperbole.
Just to your point about the first round picks, do you know how many number 1 overall picks in the MLB draft? And remember, this was started in 1966. Mm-hmm. Do you know how many overall number 1 picks are in the Hall of Fame?
How many?
3. Harold Baines was one, which there's questions about that. The other 2, Ken Griffey Jr. and Chipper Jones. Mm-hmm. That's it. So all these other number 1 picks, if you get a number 1 pick, to your point, who is an average major league starter, you're doing pretty good. Mm-hmm. And then you get the other guy, the Mark Burleys of the world, who was drafted in the 56th round, or the Mike Piazzas in the 63rd round, or whatever the hell it was.
Yep.
But those guys are the unicorns. They're not. That doesn't happen every day.
And I mean, as a franchise that has the Shields for Tatis trade, and
yes,
the end of George Bell's career for Sammy Sosa, they're not even in the same area code as far as trades. And you do that, and you talk about how bad the trades are, but let's not forget that the White Sox sold Quintana to the Cubs for Eloy
and Cease.
And
wasn't it Brian Flette and Rose?
I mean, I don't even. Is that the rest?
It was a 4-for-1. Yeah.
Yeah. Basically, I mean, and again, Quintana was terrible with the Cubs, and didn't even pitch his last season because he cut his hand doing dishes. But you got a jack from Eloy today. You got Cease is going to be a very good breakout. He could be I've seen a few people now talk about he could be a breakout player for as a maybe not a Cy Young winner, but a guy that gets in the conversation this year because he has the kind of season with run support. I mean, the sky's the limit for all of these guys as far as wins are concerned.
Right.
Keep it below 4 and you'll be fine because
and can
or 5 a game.
Yeah. Can I say one thing? I have to say one thing about Fernando Tatis Jr. When that trade went down, the James Shields for Tatis Jr. First of all, Teresi loved it and said James Shields was going to win multiple Cy Young Awards, but I think he was really lubricated at the time he said it. Uh-huh. But at the same time, I don't recall anyone bitching about Fernando Tatis Jr. being traded. Everyone was up in arms about Eric Johnson being traded as part of that trade. No one, and I emphasize again, no one knew anything about Fernando Tatis Jr. You know why? Because he hadn't fucking played because he was injured. So all you people, you're lying if you're saying that you knew Fernando Tatis Jr. would become what he became. You are lying. You're living revisionist history.
It's Captain Hindsight from South Park.
Right, exactly. Exactly.
But, I mean, I can say this. I'm so happy that I can say this because it makes me feel better. I was livid the day that the Cubs traded Eloy. I was a humongous Eloy stan. Like, Eloy was my guy besides Chris before, obviously, Nico. And when they traded him, I threw up me and Adam Nissen, he used to be writing for the Sports Mocker. He's actually a fantastic high school football coach now. And him and I got into this whole thing because I'm like, you don't trade this kind of talent for a number 4. He's like, he's not a number 4. He's an ace. I'm like, he's not an ace. It's not an ace.
No.
It's not a good trade. This is not a good trade. And this was not even me including Cease into the whole, into the equation. I was livid about. I mean, I've got tweets upon tweets upon tweets of me yelling, and there obviously this few of the accounts no longer exist that were coming at me, which is kind of funny. But I was not happy with that. So like, it depends on the time period, and they didn't know anything about that. So that again, it is hindsight. But having the bad trade. Push comes to shove, doesn't matter because the White Sox righted the ship. Rick Hahn did what he pulled the draft day thing, like with Kevin Costner. He took a mistake or a thing that didn't work out, and he flipped it and still somehow found an inherent value for the White Sox in a trade that basically made it all bounce back out again. The White Sox lost a little bit because of his performance, because of Kimbrel's performance to close the season last year, but not he didn't cost them in the postseason. It's not scoring runs cost them in the postseason, and so.
Not catching the ball, too many fucking walks.
Yep.
That's what cost them in the postseason. The defensive positioning was god awful. I don't know what the hell they were thinking. Throwing Lance Lynn in game one was stupid based on Lynn's track record against the Astros. I mean, I could keep going and going on this, but
that's what he did though, Rick. So you got, I mean, in a weird way, it's more shocking that people weren't tipping their cap to Rick Hahn more. What a great rebound! Like, it's okay to screw up or do something that doesn't work, but how do you respond to it? And he responded so well with the moves. He was able to take advantage of a need in LA, and he was able to leverage himself to get a very solid answer to the problem in right field. Now the next question is, what do you do with Andrew Vaughn?
But I want to answer one thing you said when you said, why people haven't given him more of a tip of the cap. This is where I talk about the take one step forward and 2 steps back, because at the end of that press conference announcing the trade is when he dropped the Garrett Crochet news.
Oh, yeah.
So there really wasn't the opportunity to take the victory lap for the trade because everybody just went, oh, fuck. We left Crochet to Tommy John. And then Saturday night, I was watching the game, and I believe, if I remember correctly, I texted you and Yump and Svo, as well as like the 108 guys, and I said, Lynn is walking off the field, or is hobbling off the field, and it looks bad. Then the reports we saw Sunday where he's in the clubhouse laughing and joking and everything else. So you're like, okay, maybe it was just like he pulled fat guy muscle or something. And then they're like, oh no, he has a minor tear in his tendon. And I'm like, okay, you're saying 4 weeks on his, off the mound? He's not coming back till like July 4th. Because he's going to take longer than 4 weeks. And then you got to give him time to ramp his arm back up. So you're talking about him returning midseason. And listening to ESPN 1000, Yurko, the former football player, was talking about this today, saying, if it's a full tear of the tendon, he's done for the year. He's done for the year. So brace yourself, fans. There's no guarantee that Lynn's going to be back this year. And I know they lost out on Minaya, which it sounded like the Padres were more fascinated with the prospects the A's had than necessarily not liking the White Sox prospects. But they lost out on Minaya. Now, you still got Montas with the A's, which may cost more than what Minaya did. My next thought was, let's go see about Luis Castillo with the Reds. No, he's on the DL. Don't even bother going there. And then the news breaks today that they reached out to Johnny Cueto. Now, he's got the shake like Jack Parkman in Major League 2 that all the women will go crazy with his shimmy on the mound if the Sox do sign him.
Yeah, he's an interesting guy though. I as someone that's watched him a ton, he's quirky and weird, but the dude he gets outs and he finds ways. He doesn't care how if it means putting the ball in his butt cheeks and firing out of his butthole.
Yes,
he'll do it to get the out. Like he does weird shit out there, and it's fun.
Yes,
I love. I mean, he is borderline, using overt deception, which is not really technically allowed, but I think Major League Baseball. It's kind of like traveling in the NBA. They're not really going to fix a quirky delivery. It's entertaining for the fans, so they kind of let it go.
Well, isn't the rule that if it's a repeatable delivery, they don't do anything with it?
But nothing he does is repeatable. That's the problem.
Close enough.
He'll break towards the plate and then just stop.
Well, who's the idiot who jumps in the middle of his delivery?
Oh, yeah. The Cubs had him for a second, I thought. Which is illegal because your foot doesn't.
Right, your foot's off the rubber.
Off the pitcher's plate. Yeah, you're not even touching the pitcher's plate. You have to be always engaged with the pitcher's plate at all times.
That was considered acceptable because that was part of his delivery. Look at the hesitation by Clayton Kershaw.
Yeah, his is another weird, quirky one.
Yeah.
If you see his delivery, he's got that like.
He's got that like weird hesitation, and then he kicks it.
Yeah, it's almost like it looks like a twitch, but it's not. Like
right.
It's not a Jay Cutler, but it's
right.
But
and Svo, to your point about he took a swing to try and win and he missed. That shit happens. You're absolutely right. And frankly, I was impressed that he did it. I was happy that he did it because for the first time, as I said, for the first time in my life, I actually saw them go out there and try to be one of the big boys and actually, a term I use all the time, make their luck instead of hope for luck. And it didn't work out.
But it's a paradigm shift in the White Sox approach after years and last couple, half a decade or more of not going for it.
Right. Or trying to go for it with the Kmart Blue Light Special players.
Right. And they you make a move, man. You go
or the PTPers, past their prime players.
Right. So as we kind of move in, so with the White Sox right now, as we kind of talk about early season, I'm looking at the zips on FanGraphs. You got Yasmani Grandal. Apparently, they're expecting him to take another 80 walks this year, which I mean, he might, but I feel like he's going to start seeing a little bit more this year. I think that walking last year where he was walking felt like he was walking like 4 times a game.
Yeah,
that's going to start I think they're going to start going at him. And I think Eloy and Luis Robert are going to start seeing more balls out of the zone as they pitch around him.
Yes.
Abreu's going to do what Abreu does. Pollock's a solid hitter. I mean, Moncada's wearing guff like it's insane.
Man, I saw some highlights from today's game. He was hitting piss missiles. Yep. But there was one I saw at third base where he actually absolutely smoked it, and the third baseman sort of like, oh shit, I caught that ball.
Right. And that's he gets a lot of guff. I mean, Abreu is the only one with projected 100 RBIs or more. Eloy's projected at 80. Gavin Sheets at 72, actually, interesting enough. But you've got a lineup that, I mean, you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 players that are projected to drive in at least 67 runs. You have 1, 2, 9 players that are projected to score at least 60 runs instead of just drive them in. That's a lot of offensive production. I see a lot of strikeouts on these projections as well. But
that's the one thing that scares me.
People are going to be real pissed if these projections are right because it's got Pito getting hit.
Beat like 20 times.
Him, Ramos, and Harrison are all projected to get double-digit 13, 14 doses this year. So it's kind of funny. But stolen base-wise, you're not seeing a ton, which I think this is a mistake. I think Luis Robert is going to steal 25 bases this year. I think that he's going to be a potential 30-30 guy.
I agree with you on that.
I think it could happen. So for you, who are you looking as the season kind of progresses? And we've talked a little bit about the rotation. I think Giolito was named opening day starter, right?
Yes. Giolito game 1, Cease game 2, Kopech game 3.
Okay, so you got Kopech who's going to start stretching it out a little bit now for the White Sox as well. So for you, rotation, bullpen, offensively, defensively, what are 2 or 3 things that you're looking at this year as a White Sox fan? Keeping an eye on something that you expect or you want to see how it progresses or shakes out. What are a couple 2-3 things, that to you are something to keep an eye on for the average fan?
The first thing I will say is hit the fucking cutoff, man. Too many times runners are taking that extra base because they are not doing the fundamental play from the outfield, Eloy, of hitting the cutoff, man. You have runners on, first and second, and Eloy's thinking, oh, here's a grounder out here. I'm going to throw it home so that the guy who's on first can advance to second on the throw. No, hit the cutoff, man. That's number 1. Number 2, quit with the fucking walks. Now, Jack made a mention earlier about my frustration with the Jose Quintana guaranteed 0-2 walk. Basically, Quintana would be up 0-2 in the count, and then the guy would be walking down to first base because he got 4 balls. Quit with the walks. I think of a line Catfish Hunter always said about walks. He said, if a guy hits a baseball and he drops to the ground and has a heart attack and dies on his way to first base, you can still throw the ball to first and he'll be out. If a guy takes a walk and drops dead of a heart attack on his way to first base, they'll put another guy on first base. Mm-hmm. So
my dad used to always say, this is something that always it stuck with me my lifetime, was walks or runs. Walks are runs.
Yes.
Walks are unnecessary. Other than certain moments, 2-out walks, leadoff walks are the worst. Leadoff walks are I don't mind like a 2-out walk if it's like, say, you're pitching around like a Jose Abreu, for example, or
you're pitching around a Bryce Harper or someone of that caliber.
Right. That's it, and it's okay, but back-to-back walks, obviously no bueno. But when you do that, it serves multiple purposes, and a lot of people fail to see that. They think it's just the walk, giving up the base runner. It's not. You're hypnotizing your defense when you have someone that goes full and then does walk. You've got guys that are out there picking daisies at some point in their head. They're going to lose focus, and then it compounds into something bigger because now they're a little bit unfocused because they're getting hypnotized by your inability to throw strikes. And no pitcher's intentionally not throwing strikes, obviously. But now, they're not as sharp. And so all of a sudden that ball in the hole that Tim Anderson might get to normally when he's locked in, he's kind of trying to shake off the
he's on his heels, basically.
Yeah. And so it doesn't affect just the putting guys on base. It also affects your defensive focus. And so that's a big part of it. So Cease, I think, obviously is the one that you're probably the biggest concern with because last year he had those moments. But I mean, he's projected at 76 walks, but he's also projected to hit 200 strikeouts, which is pretty rad. Very nice, mark. There's a lot of respect for him in the league this year. And so, I mean, I personally, because again, he was the Cub in that Eloy trade, I would love for him to be that guy. It would be exciting to see that guy hit and be a very good, an elite guy in the league. Because, I mean, that just shows that the Cubs really goosed that one up, panicking back when they could have just sat on it. And you have two players that they wouldn't have had to pay, really, on their roster when they would never have had to sell the big three. That's the crazy part. If the Cubs never traded Dylan Cease and the Cubs never traded Eloy, they would have Eloy and Cease right now. They wouldn't have had to worry about Ryan Castellanos or Nick Castellanos they would have had a potential all-star, maybe two, a potential ace even. They didn't. And so as a result, that trade right there, I will place that trade as big as any moment in the Cubs window that broke the window and almost ruined their ability to continually contend and keep that group together because that trade right there was a mistake. That was 2017, right? So that was the year after the World Series, and I think that people panicked because the Cubs weren't super hot out of the gate. And,
no, they were in second place, I want to say, at the trade deadline.
And people were just kind of, and didn't the trade happen like in June? Too?
No, it was trade deadline.
It was trade deadline. Okay.
No, I take that back. It was right after the All-Star game when they came back from the All-Star game because Rick Hahn talked about talking to Theo behind at the All-Star Fan Fest behind some display or something. And he thought it would get out that he was on the phone, and it never did.
Right. That's right. And he's with the Angels now? Yeah.
No, Pittsburgh.
Pittsburgh now. My God.
Quintana's with the Pirates.
It's gone nothing but downhill for that guy in his career. And the Cubs should have been paying. The thing I didn't like most was that he had games where he just gave up like 4 or 5 runs. Like he wasn't an innings eater, and that was a problem.
Right.
You never like those guys. You don't want those guys that can't go 5 innings. Like they waste too many pitches early because they go full and they these dogfight at bats early in the ball game. You have 25 pitch inning, 3 innings in a row, and there's 75 pitches after 3, and you're yanking them, and all of a sudden you're taxing your bullpen, and boom, boom, boom. It's action reaction, cause and effect, and I think that if he can really get that part down, I think that he's going to be
and people get ready because the first month of the season you're going to see a lot of that. 25 pitch innings, pitchers going 3 or 4. The bullpen's being taxed, which is why I think how the Sox approached the bullpen made a lot of sense. It really did. And, obviously that's thrown in flux, losing Lynn and losing Crochet, because now you have to take one of your bullpen guys, whether it's Vince Velasquez or Ronaldo Lopez, and move them up to your number 4 or 5 starter. I think, frankly, it should be number 5 because – and I know a lot of people will disagree with what I'm about to say about this. I think Keuchel's going to have a good year, and I'll explain why. The last full season before last year that Keuchel pitched was 2018. Because remember, in 2019, he did not sign with the Braves until after the draft when the draft pick compensation was removed from him. So he only pitched half a year. And then we had 2020 and everything that went on with that year. So really, 2021 was the first time he pitched a full year in 3 years. Yep. I think he's coming back, and he's going to be a little more built up. Now, I don't think he's going to be the Cy Young winner that he was in the past. No, I don't. but I think he will be serviceable for them.
Mm-hmm.
And I think he might be a little more than serviceable. But again, I'm not saying Cy Young winner.
Mm-hmm. I think the biggest thing for Sox fans too is just when it's every fifth day and it's Dallas Keuchel start day, buy the ticket, take the ride.
Yep.
Just buckle up. And the beautiful part about the White Sox offense is a guy like Dallas Keuchel can be not great, but that offense can make it a beer league softball game. They could put up 10, 12 runs. I mean, we're seeing it today with that Cub game. That was a beer league softball game. I mean, it was basically bagging groceries in a couple of weeks, but you can do that with that offense that the White Sox have and the balance that they have now, because it's not just 3 outcome all the way up and down. They have a very decently balanced lineup now that's going to really pay dividends when it comes to putting pressure on the opposing pitcher, whether, being able to string together multiple hits in a row, which is obviously the key to putting up runs is not 2-out knocks. I mean, 2-out knocks are obviously vital, but it's to get consecutive hits with less than 2 outs, getting guys going, getting guys, getting that track meet started, so to speak, putting together 3 hits in a row. Whereas 3 outcome is very easily solvable. You can stop that. You can pause that. And so that depth that they have now is going to make a big difference. I think the White Sox are going to put up 5+ a game. And I think that as a pitching staff, your job should be to keep that final total to 4. If you can keep opponents to 4 every single ball game consistently, the White Sox are going to win 100 games. I have no doubt in my head. If they can keep that runs per game at 4 or below for their opponents, they will win 100 games this year. I guess we'll call that a prediction. I'll even write that one down.
Oh, nice.
But
don't worry, I got a couple of totally meatball, off the wall, holy shit if it happens predictions.
Let's go ahead. Why don't you throw those into the gravy and let's see what.
All right. So let's start with who you think is going to be in the World Series. I mean, do you want to do playoff teams or just straight World Series?
There's so many playoff teams now.
Yeah, I know.
I would say let's do maybe like ALCS, NLCS.
Okay.
We'll keep it to the end of that tournament because it's now basically a college baseball tournament, which I love.
Yeah. And so for the ALCS, I see the White Sox and I see Toronto. Because Toronto is very much like the White Sox. They will mash the shit out of you.
I mean, some of their projections are off the charts.
Yes.
I want to say 2 or 3 players that are projected to have a 4.5 WAR or higher. Like what? Let's see, Toronto. What is it? TBR. Is that Toronto Blue Jays? No, that's the Tampa Bay Rays. I'm an idiot. Let's use some. Toronto is Tor. They let's see. Because Vladdy is projected at a 5.5. God dang. Yeah, 5.7 WAR for Vlad projected. Bo Bichette's a 5.2 WAR. Matt Chapman is a 4.6 WAR. So they have 3 players with a 4.6 or higher projected WAR this year. I mean, wow. That is terrifying for anybody that has to maneuver that minefield. But their pitching staff isn't really great.
Mm-hmm. And their bullpen is a little suspect too.
Yeah.
And yes, Yumper, it is a 93 ALCS rematch.
So I'm going to go with White Sox, but I'm going to go with Houston. I think I want an ALCS rematch of White Sox in Houston. I want Dick Nose down there in Houston, that rider down there that we all like to make fun of. I want him wearing absolutely every single ounce of White Sox fans' ire, and I want to see the White Sox take it to the Astros and find their way to the World Series. So
see, I think it's going to be Toronto that takes it to the Astros before the White Sox get there.
Before it even gets there?
Yes, because Toronto, I mean, if they stay injury-free, they can mash with anybody. Anybody. It's a tough road to go with them. Now, in the NL, it's a rematch of 2018 Brewers-Dodgers. But I see the Brewers coming out on top this time because remember, they went 7 games. And the Dodgers won in 7. I see the Brewers coming out in 7 because Craig Kimbrell's going to give it up in the 7th game.
Mm-hmm.
That's, So we have the Sox and the Brewers, the Miller Lite World Series, or the I-94 series. You know, and again, it will be a tough battle. Brewers pitching is no joke. Absolutely no joke whatsoever. You know, the question is, I don't think their hitting can keep up with the White Sox. So I like the Sox in 6.
Both do have the benefit of playing in a bad division, but also the negative of playing in a bad division.
Yeah. And I think the bad division hurt the White Sox last year.
I do. I
because
thought 100% ruined their ability to beat good teams because they weren't seeing high level baseball on a consistent basis and iron sharp iron. I mean, that's
right. But I think that the advantage this year is Minnesota's gotten better with Correa, and I cannot wait.
The Tigers are good too. The Tigers are not.
Yes. Don't sleep on the Tigers. Absolutely. Do not sleep on them.
Very well.
They may not make it this year, but they're going to be a team to be reckoned with, and soon.
Mm-hmm. And they will have uniforms that probably smell like weed. Like what?
Yeah. Oh, without question. Let's see if they put video cameras in the dugout. Oh, sorry.
How far is it McDonald's to Tiger to Comerica? What I want to know.
Yeah, but definitely, I think Minnesota's better. I think Detroit is going to be better. KC. I think Cleveland's the only team that's going to go down. Per se, I think KC is going to get stronger if Bobby Witt makes the opening day roster. Mm-hmm. I think that'll be, the Sox still have to worry about Jose Ramirez in Cleveland because it seems like that guy comes up every time the game's on the line and finds a way to do something. Mm-hmm. So, but to me, the only thing that can derail the White Sox is injuries from winning the division. Which right now they've already had some. I think they, knock on wood, they should be able to hopefully tread water during this one. But if there's another injury, they've got problems. Mm-hmm. And they may be out of it by the All-Star break, to be completely honest. And again, it depends on who it is.
Right. And you have, again, with young talent, was it the Tigers have young talent? They could we've seen with Cubs, we've seen with the White Sox, other franchises, teams that are projected to hit their window in a year or two, but they hit that window a year earlier. I mean, it happens. So that's dangerous thing to keep an eye on. But for me, man, I'm looking at the Dodgers. Obviously, it's hard. You got to be a moron to think that the Dodgers aren't going to be there somewhere near the end. Right. And I'm on the Phillies train. I think the Phillies are going to mash enough in the postseason. Aldo Soto on the Pinwheels with us has beat this home to me, even though I'm a big fan of small ball in the postseason kind of environments. Home runs win postseason games. It's common sense, of course. The most runs win the game, but it does look to me like that team's going to put up that's a tough lineup right there with Castellanos, Harper, Schwarber. And it goes righty lefty. It does push around. That's a very good offensive lineup. Their pitching staff again though, like the Blue Jays. Is a little bit of a question mark, and their bullpen, they were drooling over Kimbrel too. I feel like they kind of lost on that one.
Didn't they sign someone?
They did, but it's what's his name. But I just for they've been drooling over him. To have him would have been like
icing on the cherry on top.
It was a long time coming. I guess we'll put it that way.
Dombrowski's had him in Boston too.
Right, that's a big fan of theirs. And then so they've got a guy. They've got Corey Knebel or whatever his name is. It Knebel or Knebel? Knebel. Hopefully he's Knebel to at least save more than 20 games because he's projected to save 20. But
to me, the biggest hindrance on that team, and this has nothing to do with my personal dislike of the family, is Joe Girardi. I don't think Joe Girardi knows how to handle a bullpen. That's just my personal opinion.
I don't disagree with you on that. Having a player that actually was in that bullpen in New York with him, and
yes.
He's kind of he's kind of a blockhead is the word I heard over and over again. Blockhead. I know the numbers say this, but my gut tells me this. Well, dude, it's probably indigestion from some pasta last night, man. They have two good number one and number twos. Wheeler and Nola are studs.
Yes.
Question mark with Eflin and Suarez. You gotta wonder how far that's going to go down. Gibson, I think could be better, but the Phillies are just I don't know that feels like that's going to happen to me. I don't know. They remind me a little bit of the Nationals a couple years ago when the Nationals won the World Series. But I do think the Dodgers will win the NLCS, and I think it's going to be White Sox and Dodgers, and I think it's going to come down to a Craig Kimbrel moment, and he's going to blow it against the White Sox. And White Sox fans will never be more thankful for Craig than they will when Craig Kimbrell blows a Game 7 lead, and the White Sox win the World Series in 7. So that's me.
Well,
Cubs drafting 7th.
Well, I'll tell you this. I know there's been a lot of scuttlebutt about, and I have to bring this up. There's been a lot of scuttlebutt about the Cubs trading for Eric Hosmer. Now, let me say first, the Cubs trading for Eric Hosmer makes no sense unless you get one of San Diego's prospects in there. And to me, the prospect, I've loved this guy since the draft, and I was hoping he'd fall to the White Sox. And that's Robert Hassel, the third. Yes.
A guy named Campana, too?
Something like that. But no, I've loved Robert Hassel since the draft. I was praying that he would fall to the White Sox. Unfortunately, the Padres took him 2 slots before the Sox drafted. But if I would be major jealous if the Cubs found a way to take on Hosmer's salary and have Hassel brought into their minors, because I think Hassel and Crow Armstrong would have the makings of an incredible outfield for the Cubs.
Yeah. I think with the White Sox, with Hosmer, I mean, he's got, again, once he's traded, he has a no trade clause. So
yes,
he has 3 years left on his contract after this year. I think all three are $10 million a year, which isn't terrible. A lot of big money is this year. And so I know the Padres have been trying to get, I've seen the Cubs. It's the same thing, though. It's the same approach. To take that contract, you're going to have to get some prospects back. And you have to, and if the Cubs did that, the Cubs specifically, I like it more for the Cubs only because the Cubs, who knows, Hoskins rebound. And I think that's going to be the sad part. I think if he rebounds, there's going to be a lot of teams going, God dang it. I could have taken that guy from the Padres, absorbed some of that salary, gotten some elite prospects in the process, but I didn't pull the trigger. The Mets, I look at the Mets right now and think if Hosmer comes out of the gate hot, Mets really screwed that up because they had a deal. It could have even been a 3-way deal. And I know that Shreve, who's pitching with, thank goodness he did make the team. He was actually, side note, he was sweating pins and needles. He didn't give up a single runner or a single hit all spring training. He was unhittable all spring training. And he still was waiting until late last night, early this morning to find out that he was not a casualty of which he has his opt-out. So he was actually the White Sox, because of Crochet, reached out to his agent and actually inquired, when is his opt-out and what does he plan to do with it? And so they told the White Sox if the Mets don't put him on the major league roster, he's going to take his opt-out. So he'll be right here. And the White Sox were very interested. So in that sense, good for the Sox to know that Hahn is kicking the tires on where he should.
Yes.
That would have been a sneaky good move because Chasen's going to have a very good year as a left-handed reliever out of the Mets or whoever he would pitch. And so kind of dicked him over before in the past. So he was a little bit trigger shy too. But this morning,
but was it under the old regime with the Mets?
No, because yesterday morning they made a big trade. They got a lefty from the Yankees.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. So
he's like, are you kidding me now? Yeah. Jeez, but they were like, no, we want you. So like I said this morning early, he was able to. He didn't use his opt out. So now if they screw him over, they're absolute crap bags as far as I'm concerned. But they're the Mets. They're already crap bag.
I would just love to get him on to talk about Buck Showalter.
No, you would actually appreciate him talking about your guy Joe Girardi.
Oh God,
he will not. I don't think he has many nice things to say about Blockhead Joe. So,
hey, we can start a fan club.
So with that kind of segue too, the White Sox obviously, winning. Before we jump to the Cubs real quick, and then we can kind of shift over to a couple other things. But with the White Sox, what's your projection? What do you think is going to be? Do you think that win total? Do you think anybody all stars? Any awards? Do you have any predictions that include the White Sox? Any of those?
Yes. Win total, I will say I'm knocking them down a few pegs because of the Lynn injury. I would say they're going to be at about 91, 92 wins now. I projected them to be about 95, 96 before. So I'd say 91, 92, somewhere around there. As far as personal recognition and awards, I think Luis Robert and Tim Anderson will be starters in the All-Star game.
Oh, okay.
I think Tim Anderson, his stock has risen so much. not only from winning the batting title in 2019, that was the start, but that home run in the Field of Dreams game, I think, has elevated his stock so much that he is now a known commodity to a lot of people. And I think that will help him get the votes needed to start in the All-Star game. I think that this is just me being me. I have nothing to back this up. I think that with the White Sox doing this 5-part, 6-part YouTube series about becoming Tim Anderson, I think they announced at the end of it a contract extension with him.
Ooh. Must see TV.
And yes, and I think it's Tim Anderson will be the first $100 million player for the White Sox, as he should be, because Jose Abreu is the captain of the team, but Tim Anderson is the heart and soul of this team.
Mm-hmm.
He is the guy you want to build around.
Straw that stirs the drink. I've been calling him that for 3 years now.
Yep.
He's that old Reggie Jackson adage that he's the straw.
Yes, he is.
Right. He's the guy that he goes, everyone else goes. He brings him with you.
If you look at his playoff numbers, he set records already for most hits in the playoffs for the number of games he's played in. It's insane what he's done in the playoffs. What did he average? 3 hits per each game against Oakland 2 years ago?
Yep.
I think he had 9 hits in the series, 3 each game. And he added several more against Houston last year. Now, here comes my outlandish, out there, ridiculous picks. And I already bet one of these. And if you don't believe me, go look at my Twitter timeline. The bet slip is out there. I put money down on Yasmani Grandal to win the AL MVP. And, and the AL Cy Young Award this year, because of everything that has happened, the training and everything else, I think Liam Hendricks wins the AL Cy Young Award.
Oh, okay.
I think this is a year that a reliever wins it because of the way the season is shook out and the shortened spring training. The pitchers aren't going to be going for length for a little while because they're still going to be building up as the season begins.
Okay. That actually works. Okay.
Mm-hmm. All right. So what are you thinking for the Cubs?
Yeah, well, it's not great. I'm generally an optimistic dude. I'm always someone that believes, probably over more than what I should believe about the team's chance to win. And generally, I'm pretty blind, optimistic in that sense. But after everything, I feel I personally, me emotionally, and I can't say this for other Cub fans, because they don't have the same emotional connection to a couple, some of the guys that played last year. I feel like I was put through the ringer with everything that happened with KB as well. And so for me, having known and seeing what went on, it's very difficult for me to kind of just reflect and refresh and then clear the mechanism and then just immediately get back to this, because I don't feel like anything that we get from the front office is actually true. Like, I feel like most of the front office stuff is lip service. It's lawyer speak. It's never really truly on the level. And that makes it very difficult to enjoy the experience when it comes to communication with and the optimism of the stuff. With that said, and despite the fact that I do believe the Cubs have a fantastic minor league system now, which Jed, despite the fact that he was full of crap and a lot of the stuff that he said, especially like with KB's fake contract offer, with the bald guy cap made up or whatever.
Hey, don't be ripping on his plaid suits.
Oh my dear God. He literally looks like a villain from like a really bad, like a knockoff series. Lex Luthor's special needs cousin or something. I don't know. But he's just that took me through the rumor or the ringer a little bit. And I really was difficult to go through that. But now we're here and the season is here. And again, there's nobody on that roster that I can blame. It's not their fault that Jed Hoyer put together a bargain basement minor league contract laden roster. It's not they're going to play ball, and I love baseball enough, and I love the Cubs enough. It's always about the name on the front. I'm going to outlive as a fan the Ricketts family. I outlived the Tribune. I mean my grandpa even did. So you want to get to the point where that I'm not going anywhere. And I think that's a cliche, but it's extremely disappointing that this year a team that's worth one of the most $3.8 billion is trying to buy Chelsea overseas, trying to buy a soccer franchise for like what was it like
Aren't
4 billion or something like
yeah?
that?
Aren't they one of the 4 finalists too?
Yeah, they're one of the 4 finalists too, so they're actually in it. And yet they can't put together a team every single year, despite the fact that they have the most expensive ticket prices and game experience in the game of baseball. They put together basically a bargain basement, a knockoff. It's like a bunch of Pro Wings. It's not a Nike. It's Pro Wings. No knock on Pro Wings. People got to wear them, but they're necessary usually when you don't actually have the money to spend. The Cubs have the money to spend, and they're dressing like Mark Davis from the Raiders owner. The dude's a millionaire, and he dresses like he buys his suits, at Old Navy. When and again, his shoes. I mean, you would never know. He get his hair cut at Sports Clips, and so this is what it kind of feels like with the Cubs roster. It feels like they just put together just enough to be okay. They're not going to be a bad team. I think that they win 75 to 80 games. I think they'll hover around 500 if everything goes well. Now, they can't afford to have guys get banged up and injured, and they've already lost a couple guys to start the season out of the gate. You got guys that still aren't healthy enough to come back, guys like Bodie. And then you've got the question marks. The guy, I know you're not super stoked on, Patrick Wisdom. He was figured out at the end of 2021. So my question mark, is he going to continue that, or has he spent the offseason like he should, which I would assume so. I mean, gotta at least have faith that he worked on some of those flaws in the game. But the thing that Cubs, the fact that the Cubs are relying on 2 guys that were 29-year-old rookies that took that long to get there for a reason, that's a dangerous crapshoot you're playing. I mean, it could pay off. Again, people bet 0 on the roulette wheel all the time and hit it. Okay, not likely, but it could still hit, and that's what I think about with Wisdom, especially. I actually think that with Schwindel, I think Schwindel actually might actually be okay. I've gotten to see him a little bit more down here. He was actually buried in this really good AAA team here at the Aviators here in Vegas. He was like the 5-hitter, and he was still good, but there was a lot of other guys that hit well there too. And of course, you had the juice balls at that level anyway. So but I think that he is a little more. I've always pictured him as like a bench guy, like a 9th or 10th guy, like maybe a DH on occasion, but not an everyday starter. So the Cubs are going in with some guys that are question marks. They go out and they get the kid from the Twins, the Simmons guy who hasn't hit above 230 in a couple years. Good defensive guy, but my guy Nico Horner, Nico freaking Horner. I think he's a starting shortstop, and I think that he's very underrated. I think Cub fans underrate him constantly. I've seen so many people like crying about him being him being the starting shortstop. Give the kid a chance. Give the kid a chance. He made a play today. If he doesn't slip on his back plant foot, he made a hobby-esque play in the hole with a very good throw, cannon-wise, which is he doesn't have a good arm. It looked pretty freaking good to me while he was down. So that up the middle, him and Magical, I think is fine. But if you're starting your infield with Schwindel, Magical, Horner, Wisdom in center field, I think you go with Ian Happ. I think Clint Frazier has done a great job in spring training. Unorthodox swing. He's been fantastic, though. I think he's earned the start and left. And I think Jason Hayward can suck it because he's hitting like 091.
He gives great speeches. He gave a speech right up there with the "I Have a Dream" speech.
And you got Seiya Suzuki, who the Cubs picked up. Fantastic. And if you're new, I just need to stress this, guys. His name is Seiya Suzuki, not Sia Suzuki. And we are not going back to the Kosuke Fukudome years with the Hori cows and the absolute dog crap,
headbands,
and look, it's funny for meatballs. It's funny to make songs about it. Look, just take a second, ask the guy, or ask your Japanese friends what they think about the sacredness of names in their culture. And I'll tell you right now, I ain't playing with that. I had 2 parent conferences during my time as a baseball coach, both because we had a kid that was from Japan on our team, and kids, they were clever. They were cute names. They weren't like mean. And that parents were like, absolutely not. This is not okay for us. This is offensive to us. And so there's one Cub account. I will just call one Cub account, 3 letters, has terrible coffee, won't stop doing it. And I can guarantee you that person that runs that account wore the headband, wore the Fukudome shirts back in the day, was totally that guy. And I know that it's Seiya Suzuki. And just, how about just good job, Seiya, man? Like, we don't have to make plays on someone's name because it's foreign to us. No one does that in Japan. So just let the guy play. And he's a good ball player. He's going to be a borderline all-star caliber, but I think he's going to be like a almost all-star-ish, unless you have like nobody else performing.
And let me say something about the names. As someone who has a last name that could be used in many different derivatives, if you will. I understand what you're saying about the name. I was someone who went through grammar school and high school. Hey, hand job, how you doing? Hey, hand job. And I get. Well, let me tell you a story. So when I was in school, when I was in college.
Hey, fiddler.
Yeah.
Hey, fiddler. And then kitty. Nah. And then on the roof.
Yeah.
I didn't even know. No one's on the roof. I didn't know that even there was a musical when I was like 5. But
Yeah. But let me tell you a story when I was in college. So I have a degree in computer science. Part of getting a degree in computer science is you have to go to the lab at school, type in your program, submit it, and it would print out your program and the results in the quote-unquote print room. Now, the standard format, and this is when they still had green bar, okay? The big green bar printout. The standard format of how the banner page, which was the way they separated each person's work, came out was it attached your last name to the word job. So think about 20, 21-year-old computer science geeks getting a printout with my last name of Hand attached to the word job and announcing to the lab, we have a hand job.
Oh, geez.
After the first 20 times, let's say, it's like, haha, never heard that one before. That almost got me expelled from school. Because the dean was in there one time when they announced we have a hand job.
Oh.
I walk up there like, yeah, I've never heard that one before. And the dean immediately begins to just lay into me. I don't appreciate your humor. This is a place of higher education, blah, 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 blah. My office now, blah, 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 blah. So I go to his office and he continues reading me the riot act to the point where I got fed up with it after about 5 minutes. And I threw my ID at him and I said, hey, asshole, look at my last name. He looks at the ID. You're free to go. That was changed the next semester. So I'm more than familiar with the whole name being used for some sophomoric humor and everything else. And I get it. And it's like, public service announcement, people, be fucking respectful. Be respectful. Now, if, you or Wally or something makes a joke about my name, that's fine. But if you don't know me, shut the fuck up. Okay? Think about how you're making the city look, how you're making your fan base look when you're wearing hoary cow and fucking doomy and all that stuff. And this goes for White Sox fans too. The meatballs who sit there and say, who I ask, so the White Sox make the playoffs if the Cubs beat the Indians. Who do you want to win? And they say the Indians. It's like, okay, you're not a real White Sox fan. You're a Cub hater. Sorry, you're not.
Right.
Deal with it. And sadly, there's too many of those people out on Twitter who are like, Wrigley Field's a dump. I am not a fan of Wrigley Field at all. But you know what? Some people like Wrigley Field, others don't. I'm not a fan of Wrigley Field. I'm not a fan of Fenway Park. But you know what? Some people like Fenway Park. Some people don't. I'm not a fan of New Yankee Stadium. I think Citi Field blows New Yankee Stadium away. I think the best ballpark I've ever been to is in San Francisco. So it's everybody has their own take on things. Don't be a fucking meatball and think you've cornered the market on brilliance with your take because, oh, I'm the first guy to come up with this. Oh, blah, blah. Fuck you.
I love Salty Pete because you are... Spicy meatball. I like it.
But I'm sorry. I mean, you just read some of these meatballs and you're like going, do you understand what you're saying? Really? Do you understand? So you would rather see the Cubs lose to the Indians and prevent the White Sox from making the playoffs? Then you're not a White Sox fan. You're not.
And we've discussed that on here ad nauseum too. Like, just again, it's not corporate to not hate the Cubs. That's
Right.
you're corporate. You're corporate. If you can somehow be happy for the other team in town or your friends that root for that team, somehow you're corporate. Speaking of
yeah. Well, and the funny thing is about the whole corporate thing, and I know there's been a lot of corporate talk going around lately.
Hashtag corporate. Hashtag gentrification. Hashtag you'll actually know what that really means.
Yes. And it's fun. And it's funny because, some of the people who throw this stuff around, they don't know anyone that they're applying this tag to. Nobody. And it's like, you know what? You fan the way you want, but let everybody else fan the way they want.
Wouldn't you want everybody on board? Like, God, you want everybody on board. Welcome to the fan base. Like, oh my God, gatekeeping is like seriously the.
Oh no. You weren't a fan. You weren't here in the lean times. Why are you here now? Yep. That's how fan bases grow.
Yeah, it's the same kind of thing. You can't like the White Sox because you're not from the South Side,
right?
If you're from Schaumburg, you can't root for the White Sox because you weren't from those streets. It's like what?
Yeah,
it doesn't make it, that you as a Sox fan now, as a fan base that's so tired of the attendance jokes, are getting more people to jump on the bandwagon. You want them on the bandwagon. You want bandwagon jumpers. That means something's going right. But
if they were smart enough, they would realize that if there was one year where the Sox outdrew the Cubs in attendance, that stereotype is gone. It's gone.
Feels the most annoying low-hanging fruit joke that Cubs fans make about White Sox fans.
Yes.
And again, you know what? I'm not, and it's not a knock on the dude, like the actual humans, the people that said it, but the message itself to me, it's
lazy. It's lazy.
But but again, gatekeeping in general, I think it's one thing to say, hey, look, we don't do the wave here, and tell like you have it's a new fan. Look, our fan lore says we don't do the wave here,
right?
But to then if people know that and they don't care, and they're trying to do it because they enjoy the wave. You want them to just be more respectful to it, but you don't say you just don't do it. You say, look, we as a fan base don't do this. I'm leaving that there, and then you can decide. But it's
and sell T-shirts to say "Wave sucks" because it does suck.
It does suck. It does suck. But I'm not going to tell somebody again. I'm not going to tell somebody how to, the cup snake revulsion. I don't give a shit about cup snake. For God's sake, dude, it's just a party out in the bleachers.
I just don't want to be on the receiving end when that cup snake is thrown up in the air and all that backwash comes out.
You're gonna move. I don't want Johnny's herpes on my shoulder. I'm gonna move, but you'll have your fun, man. I don't, you're not hurting anybody. Not running onto the field like a jackass. Not, doing things that affect the actual game. Like, didn't they have a cup snake thing last year in the Cub game where the cup snake actually fell onto the field and it delayed like the game or something like that? I think something happened last year. I think
there was an occasion at a Sox game too where they threw it on the field.
Gotcha, but that's the stuff.
But I think it happened at both parks.
Yeah, you don't need to just again let people. I mean, if you go to a bar and someone wants to drink Bud Light instead of Miller Lite, let them drink Bud Light and Miller Lite. If they're too scared to drink a Malort, then buy them a shot of, I don't know, Southern Comforts. So this is weak as hell. But that it's a hard part of this part is White Sox fans. I think it's been so long that they really have never been the hot ticket, and they're a hot ticket, not just in Chicago. They're a hot ticket here in the West. I see White Sox stuff. I see a lot of people out here that the White Sox are good, man.
And I saw it in Vegas last weekend because the Blackhawks were there Saturday, but there were a lot more Sox caps walking around than Cubs hats. And we have breaking news too. Yump's been referring to this in the chat, and Ken Rosenthal just tweeted this: Tigers acquiring Austin Meadows.
From the Padres? Padres?
Yeah, wow. No, from Tampa Bay.
Tampa Bay. That's right.
Okay, here. Tigers have acquired outfielder Austin Meadows from Tampa Bay in exchange for infielder Isaac Paredes. I know it's some weird way to say it, and I know I butchered it probably. And a competitive balance B pick in 2022.
Isaac.
I thought it was Isaac.
Is it pronounced that way? I don't know.
I thought it was. I don't know.
I would have called it Isaac because that's what it looks like. But Meadows, great player on MLB The Show. He was on my team, but typical Tampa Bay Devil Rays trade fashion, he'll probably like completely self-destruct and fade away.
Right, but I want to point out one thing that our friend, your friend and my friend of everybody really, also a gentrifier, Beefloaf is just sent a message about, and that is that the Tigers smell blood. That's why they're making the trade.
They see there's a possibility. Yeah. I mean,
yes,
that's what non-corporate teams do, man.
Yep, exactly.
Go for it.
Corporate teams just toe the line. Non-corporate teams go for it.
Yeah. I mean, like when you have a player on your team that has the C on his jersey, that means corporate.
Yes, not captain. That means Sammy Sosa was corporate. Sammy Sosa wore a C, so he was corporate.
Absolutely, yeah. We can make fun of the corporate stuff all day long, but But with me as a Cub fan, having dealt with again, White Sox fans have had to deal with some obviously frustrating bros in the Cubs lore.
Yes,
the frat bros and the what was the one back in the 80s they called them not hipsters. God, what are they called?
Well, they were called hipster doofuses in Seinfeld.
Yeah, but the dudes that would wear like the sweaters over their shirt.
The yuppies?
The yuppies.
Yeah.
The yuppies, the 80s. And,
and
Cubs were good, in 2003 when that train started picking up. That was the ugliest I ever saw Cubs fandom in my entire life. It was always the lovable losers. It was always the friendly confines. And then 2003 happened and those bandwagoners jumped on. But Cub fans getting that taste turned into a whole nother negative sort too, because it never would the Cub fans boo someone that failed. You boo effort, but you don't boo someone because they,
boo lack of effort. You don't boo failure.
Exactly. If they don't run out of ground ball, ride that mother like Zorro. Yeah. But if that guy hit a ground ball in the hole and the guy makes a nice play and he's out and he's had a rough day, you don't boo that guy. And I started saying that more often and more often and more often. And it made being a Cub fan kind of embarrassing. And it still does sometimes with, the post 2016 era, from 2015, this nice, epic, greatest window in Cubs baseball history, the best era. People that jump on board and it is welcome aboard, but it can also be frustrating to fans as well when you see that it does filter into some of the negativity. And again, I've been more negative, I'd say, in the last year because of all the Chris stuff. I've never been in my.
Well, you're in a unique situation because you did have an inside track on what was really going on versus the perceived going on from someone like me who doesn't have that connection.
Look at my post on Twitter at the exact time that the World Series game in Game 7 and the Cubs blew the lead and it went to the rain delay. Read my tweets at that exact moment. You will see that is textbook me, optimism guy. There's always optimism for me. And so that in 2015, it changed when everything that happened with KB. And so for me, I've been a little more pessimistic with the ownership and leadership, but I am not. I'm going to root these guys, to the head falls off. I want Nico Horner to kill it this year. I want all-star Nico Horner. I want every dude that has badmouthed him over Javi to eat their words. And I'm not wishing negative on it. Javi's going to be in another place, and that's fine. But Nico Horner is our guy now, and Javi is not. Stop. Get over it. KB's not our guy now. Move on. Rizzo's not our guy anymore. Move on. We love him forever. Yeah. But these guys deserve, because they're out there busting their ass. They're bleeding. They're sweating. They're fighting. They're kicking and clawing and screaming out there. They deserve our support as fans. It doesn't matter. And so opening day hits, I can talk bad about Ricketts and Ed, and I'm going to obviously make fun of the bald guy that pulls out his Walmart glove after still on it.
You mean with his villainous plaid suits?
Voldemort. So I'm going to do that just fine. I have no problem with that, but I'm not going to. These guys, if they're busting their butts, I have, as a coach too, I can tell you that's all you ask for. These guys build the roster. These guys are just going out there trying to make whatever it is work. And, that's where I look at it with Cub fans. I think today, I do see some blind optimism, and I'm not going to ever tell somebody to not be optimism. Justin Roman, my really good friend from high school, from Roman and Kenzie and Roman or whatever.
That's right. It's different now.
Styles
used to be Roman and Styles. Yeah.
Right. Him and I text all the time, and, he's so optimistic. And I'm not going to be like, shut up, man. I'm a realist in a sense, but I love Justin's text because Justin is like seriously still, him and I have been since we were 12 years old, the Cub fans amongst a bunch of non-Cub fans on our baseball teams that we played together on for 6, 7, 8 years or whatever. We were always the two optimistic guys that always believed in the Cubs. I mean, gosh, my sophomore year of high school, Justin will even laugh at this. I actually traded our head coach 10 miles. Our coach Nelly, I traded him 10 miles to allow me to miss practice that day, which is 2 days before opening day for our baseball team, to miss practice to go to Cubs opening day where Greg Maddux returned to Wrigley for the first time after he signed with the Braves. I traded 10 miles for that. And my coach said, yeah, you run me 10 miles. You can go to the game. We'll excuse you from practice so close to opening day. And it was a memory I'm so glad I didn't miss because he beat Cubs 1-0. It was fantastic. I was fine with that. He got a standing ovation by Cub fans. It was a very special moment. It was truly a heartfelt Cubs moment for me because, again, it showed how much they love their guys. And Justin's always been that optimistic guy with me. So like him and I, he kind of keeps me like a little bit more, me and Yumper kind of really go back and forth when we're a little bit annoyed. But Roman too, man. Roman keeps me kind of, if you don't follow Jay Roman on Twitter, definitely do if you're a Cub fan because he's a quality dude. And him and his fiance are awesome. They're funny. We joke because both of our fiancés are considerably younger than we are, which is great because we did well for ourselves. But the optimism has to be there, and Cub fans, now, I mean, they do have that reputation of being just not high baseball IQ, but I think that's also just like the attendance things with White Sox are a perception. I think that's a perception versus a reality kind of thing too. Now there's dumb fans in every fan base. It just happens to be the donkeys honk the loudest. And, with the Cubs fan base now, these guys, I'm rolling out there. I'm hoping that Clint Frazier has a freaking fantastic year. I'm hoping that Jason Hayward doesn't ground out to second base 4,000 times. And then yell at somebody for swinging at a 3-0 green light with the bases loaded and hitting a ball off the fence. But that won't hopefully happen this year. But I think that the Cubs season is going to really come down to it. Just it's another type of buy the ticket, take the ride kind of moment where everything has to work out perfectly for the Cubs to even finish 500, let alone be in any consideration for making a postseason run. Now, will that change? Will the Cubs maybe go out at the All-Star break and make some moves because maybe they're just last year the Cubs were in first place all the way till June, like 5th or whatever it was. And then
they had a great May, and then they fell apart in June. They
hit the Dodgers, and then the whole wheel the next day after the hitter, the whole train explodes from that point. So they were in it. That's sort of like the White Sox in 2007 with Mark Burley. He throws a no-hitter, and the team just explodes after that. Yep. And that's what happened with Cubs last year. So this team can kind of keep their head above water just enough that a couple moves here and there make them a contender. So be it. But there's so much that has to happen with this Cubs team. So my guys, I'm looking for this year with the Cubs. I think they're going to win 74, maybe 78 games is what I would say is my prediction. As far as performers, I think Wilson Contreras may not be a Cub very long. If the Cubs aren't performing, I don't see him as a Cub by the end of May. If they are performing, hang there. I think they'll hang a little bit longer. But I think that you're going to have your best hitters are going to be Seiya Suzuki, it's going to be Nick Magical, and it's going to be Nico Horner to me. I think Schwindel will be okay. I think that Wisdom doesn't. I think he's going to hit 225. Ian Happ, God, I wish the kid would figure it out, but he's had one outlier season when it was a shortened 60 games, and that's about it. He does finish the end of the season strong, so you can look for some performances from him like in late August, but it's a little too late. It just leaves you just enough to want more. It's kind of a weird tease with him, but I think and again the Magical Nick Magical hit a homer today, and White Sox Twitter basically self-destructed, which was funny because it's a running gag, because Eloy hit a homer and they were like, thanks for the homer,
thanks Cubs,
for Eloy Cubs, and then Magical comes up and hits a jack. And Aldo Soto, God bless him, he goes up there, thanks White Sox, and then of course White Sox fans right into his mentions like just relax. It was a joke, guys. It was literally sarcastic. No one's expecting Nick Magical to hit 30 home runs this year, although he is now Nicky Barrels, not Nicky Two Strikes.
Well, he hit it off a guy who's probably bagging groceries in 2 weeks.
Exactly. The Cubs don't even have a guy with a projected WAR of over 2.8. There's not a single member of this roster that even projects to a 2.8 or a higher than a 2.8 WAR, and that's Wilson Contreras. So there, and that's because he has an 8 defensive WAR. So Seiya Suzuki actually has a negative 6.6 projection, which is strange because he's actually a very good defensive outfielder actually with a very good arm. So that might be a little messed up but I think he's a harder one to project. Wisdom, so it should be an interesting year. Maybe Rafael Ortega has a good year. Jonathan Villar has some decent ability too. Andrelton Simmons, I'm not expecting anything from. I like Michael Hermosillo, though. He's fun. Jason Hayward is just the $25 million mistake every year. He's worth $25 million, and he may not have a batting average over 240. Probably not, to be honest.
Yumper wants Hayward released.
He does. A lot of Cubs fans have been pulling that. The Cubs wasted their moment a couple years ago when Kyle Schwarber was at max value when he was when they didn't DFA him or cut him or whatever. But they could have packaged Schwarber and Hayward. The problem with Hayward is happy to stay on a bad team and collect his $25 million a year, and he kiboshes every trade because he has the 10-5 rights. So Jason Hayward, if he actually wanted to win right now, would say, I'm stealing money from the Cubs because I'm being paid literally $1 million for a hit per, or $1 million every 100 hits or whatever it is per 1,000 at bats or whatever. Like he's stealing money as far as I'm concerned. And anybody with a competitive edge would say, look, I'll waive my no trade clause. I'll go to another team that's going to help with the payroll. I'll play every day somewhere else because he has no business in the Cubs lineup at all. And like to another organization, but he's kiboshing every trade possibility with the Cubs. And even a Schwarber trade would have been kiboshed by him if he wanted to. And he seems very, now I will say this, all the money that he's kind of stealing from the Cubs, he is investing in the Chicago community. So I can put my cap to that. I can obviously appreciate that he's not just like using it on hookers and blow, but I mean, I would also appreciate that as well. But
I was in a band named Hookers and Blow, by the way.
Like, so that's kind of where it's at. And so with the Cubs, it's gonna be a sit back and see. I'm gonna root for these guys. I'm gonna be happy when the Cubs are successful. I just don't feel like there's not gonna be a lot of those instances where we're like, hell yeah, great day. But you're gonna take moments when you can get them. There is a light at the end of the tunnel, regardless of all this. Even though they've been saying they weren't going to blow stuff up, blah blah blah. We're going to contend. We're going to use all the resources at our disposal, blah blah blah. They obviously have it, but there's a window. They're not going to be able to deny the window of the young prospects that are coming up. Owen Casey in spring training was just a filthy bat, and Brennan Davis is incredibly talented. The Cubs have some kids that are just outside the fringe right now. Some of them they're starting at high A, some of them are starting at triple A. By the end of the season, I think you're going to see a few of them. And I think next year, I think the Cubs are going to be closer to being able to use, again, intelligent spending, as Theo, or as Jed likes to say, using some of these younger guys that they can use as cheap labor that are good baseball players. So I think that the Cubs aren't far away, but I do think that this year is a transitional period, and the Cubs, have to keep that line because they're trying to sell tickets. But even opening day is not sold out right now at Wrigley. So
I heard on the broadcast they said it was going to be a full house.
They said full house, but it's not sold out. So I don't know how that memory for all I know, but I know that you can still get tickets and they're not expensive. They're not the old $200 opening day tickets that they used to be. And I think that you're going to see that a little bit too. And I think you're going to see an empty Wrigley a ton this summer. And I think that I hope that the Ricketts family sees it, but they're in their little bubble. They don't really care. They know that owning the Cubs is a profitable venture. Once we've talked about on this show, once they've kind of maxed their value, they're going to drop the team and they'll sell it to somebody else, and fine. But this year it's transitional. So, it's a watchful waiting. I'm expecting 74 to 76 wins, but I would be happy to be wrong on every single thought. So who knows? But I can tell you that the Cub fans are going to have a real cold end of May if the Cubs are 10, 12 games under 500 at that point. I think you'll see you could see Kyle Hendricks go as well. I think that they're going to they'll sell those pieces. Unfortunately, which sucks because Marcus Stroman signed that contract with the Cubs thinking that he was going to be signing for something special. And is
Stroman trade bait?
He could be too. I mean, I wouldn't be shocked because he's got 2 more years left on his contract after this year. I mean, but why would you sign a guy to a 3-year contract and not contend in all 3 of those years with what they're paying? It makes no sense.
That's what I've always wondered about that contract with him, because it does. You're right. It doesn't make sense if you followed the Stroman move and went and got someone like Correa or somebody like that. You're like, okay, I could see the plan being laid out here, but that didn't happen. And I just think he might be trade bait. Get a good half season out of him, then flip him.
Yeah. It wouldn't be shocking to me just the way that, and he would tell us to our face that it's not going to happen, and then he'll do it. So that's the only part is my faith in the honesty and integrity and the ability to tell the truth is shot with the Cubs management, ownership, front office. My trust in Chicago media, taping for access that are, in corporate media, actual corporate media, like literally corporate media.
Yeah.
That's the actual term used properly.
Yes.
Corporate media, obviously worried about flack and the Chomsky's model of corporate media. Cubs are notorious. If you cross the Cubs, you lose your press access. You lose access to some of the players. They do pull that. They do punish you for that. And so,
wasn't it Mike Kiley who that happened to?
Mm-hmm. And so you get this happening. Now you're seeing some of these like fringe blogs too that are like really kind of like, ooh, I got a little bit more access. Ooh, and then because again, I we talked with Herb on Pinwheels this week. PHGO network or whatever, and they had Kaplan on there, and they actually amplified Kaplan's false report about KB all over again. And then they basically gave him a handy for coming on there. I mean, and it's cool, but it's also cool to media is supposed to be suspect.
The impartial observer.
Right. We're supposed to be suspicious. We're supposed to be asking the tough questions and asking the whys, because the fans aren't. The fans are going to blindly follow. Our job in media, as if you remember the media, is to be skeptical at all times. You're not supposed to take everything hook, line, and sinker. You're not supposed to say, yeah, sure, I'll take you at your money's worth. I mean, I have a policy. I don't tweet anything that I think is breaking news until I can confirm it with two sources. I'm not going to take, KB tells me something. I'm not going to just say, oh, I'm running with it. I got to hear from somebody else. And so I will shake the tree a little bit. Like the stuff that I've been told all week from someone that's pretty well connected with the Padres. Keep your eyes on the Cubs. I haven't texted him tonight. I'm going to text him here in a little bit when we're done with the podcast to see if that still stands after the with Meadows moving around a little bit from Tampa. Is that changing some of the market? But I'll find out here really soon. But this is a person that's been like a family part of the Padres for quite a while, and he doesn't say anything else. It's kind of it's a weak face, and it's keep your eyes on the Padres or on the Cubs, excuse me. So I don't know what that means, other than he might be messing with me too. But he doesn't mess with me that way. We're not that friendship.
Yeah, but, and to your point, I'll say two things about what you were just talking about. Unfortunately, with media, once the profit model got introduced in media, all that went out the window.
Yeah,
it's because, as the saying goes, if it bleeds, it leads. It's a rush now to be first, not be right.
And they fired all the editors and the fact checkers and the editors are gone. Oh, you're literally writing a story from home and hoping you don't make any mistakes.
Yep.
And nobody's reading it before you post it, because you're posting it on Blogspot or you're posting it on through whatever. What's it called?
WordPress.
Yeah, WordPress and or not WordPress. Jeez, Pete, that's like what is it? 2005. So it does become a problem. But again, I mean, the Cubs have much worse because the Cubs own a network, Marquee. They own a propaganda machine, and these people are paid. Cap is paid by the Whites or by the Cubs.
No, he's not anymore. He was not anymore.
Okay. So he's no longer being paid. Okay. And you've got these people that are getting their share of that media share. There's not going to be. It's a mouthpiece network, and you can see some of these fringier blogs and stuff that are kind of like jockeying for a little bit more of access, and good for them as long as they stay skeptical. A good journalist is always skeptical, and if you want to be a real journalist, a good one, be skeptical at all times. Always ask questions and question what is being told to you. Don't take anything hook, line, and sinker. I cannot say that enough. And I tell it to my students all the time when it comes to what you're watching on the news in general. But so with the Cubs, it's going to make for an interesting, because again, the Cubs are going to it's going to be pouring feces, and the Cubs are going to tell us it's hail. And so we're going to see how this works. They're going to keep that optics game going all year. But whatever it is, I say 74-76. We'll see where it lands. Anything better than that, congratulations, great job. I'm not sold at Dave Ross as a manager either. Still, he hasn't really shown me much as a guy doing that job just yet. So hopefully his bullpen usage will get a little better this year. I'm not super fan of some of his lineups. I think Nico Horner should be batting, second or third, probably second in my opinion. Get him as many. I think he should get as many or more at bats than the other. I think that Wilson Contreras needs to be bumped down to 4 or 5.
Yeah,
but throw Wilson in the 3 because of respect. But the guy hasn't been really that great offensively. He has his moments, but I think Nico Horner with a full healthy season is going to hit 290, 295, and he's going to get on base at a 360 clip or better. He needs to be always and maximizing his plate appearances. As far as I'm concerned, Magical. I'd be better with Magical in the 9-hole than Nico Horner in the 9-hole.
No, I think you're going to get Simmons in the 9-hole.
It could be that too if he plays, but I mean, right now
If he's playing that day, he'll be your 9-hole hitter.
Hurt right now too, so he can't even play it. So
That's true. Yeah.
it's just it is, it is what it is. So that's, it is what it is. But you guys have a very, it's two different worlds right now for the Cubs fans. Optimism and skepticism, both from Sox fans, and a little bit of vitriol because they want it so bad they can taste it now. And this is now, that window is really difficult to temper. Expectations are always so unfair sometimes, and I think that they're chomping at the bit to get this World Series, get another one. And White Sox fans deserve it, and I'd be very happy for them if they win the World Series again. I'm rooting for the White Sox when they're not playing the Cubs.
And it's a fair take.
Oh, we'll see. But for me, we're pushing a little long here with our time, so I'll shut my mouth a little bit. But we've talked about our trip, and the Cubs and the Sox. We've got a little good preview. For me, I think that Seiya Suzuki and I think Nico Horner are going to be all stars this year. So I think that if nobody else performs, Suzuki gets it because it's cool. If Nico does what I think Nico is capable of, Nico will be undeniably someone that has to be on that team, has to be on that roster. And he might get votes too because Cub fans vote well, but I think he would earn that as a coach's decision too. So that's I don't see the Cubs making the playoffs, but if they do make the playoffs, they'll probably be 2 in a queue and be done with it. But it's two different worlds. It's two different. I wish the Cubs and the Sox could have their window at the same time. God, that was gorgeous and fantastic. Red Line World Series, but
I think the city would implode if that happened.
Yeah, but I get birthday baseball. I get opening day of my birthday, so I have nothing to complain about. The game is back. It's the best game in the world. It's the best thing. I love my birthday this year because I'll be in Cabo. The Cubs have opening day on my birthday. The Masters start on my birthday. It's a whole treat this year. And so with that part of it, I'm hopefully things will shake out. But other than that, though, I'm actually I got nothing left for today. So if you have anything to finish up, take us on out, Pete, and we'll call it a night tonight.
I just have one thing to say, and again, it's a public service announcement. With the season starting, fans, be respectful of other fans. Just because you may like the Sox and someone else may like the Cubs, that's no reason to start brawling with each other. But understand something when I say that. If you take a swing at me, I'll swing back. So just remember that too. But just be respectful of each other. There's nothing wrong with a little bit of good-natured ribbing, but at the same time, make sure it's good-natured. And let's have a great season because we've gone through so much shit the last 2 years. This is something all of us, regardless of fan affiliation, all of us deserve. So with that, peace and love, and aloha. Yeah, dog, take it away.